We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. So if you're one of those first consigners to preview, if you would head this way, and then other consigners, the preview is live on the Kennedy Ventures Facebook page and the Mock Livestock Sales Facebook page. So go ahead and share that so that we get everybody who's wanting to see this to find it. It's also on the KV YouTube channel and being streamed on kennedyventures.com. So we're about to get started here. If you're already watching online, we've got a pretty big crowd, looks like. So we're about to get rolling here with the preview.
We're doing our best to get the technology all in order and make sure we press forward. One new time, I just welcome you to the Friday Night Fever online preview. I would say a sale that needs very little introduction, one that has certainly set the bar as high as anything in any industry for quality. And I think if you walk through the pens here and you tune in as we move forward for the next couple hours, you're going to see that this is not going to let you down. We're going to have an online preview. We're going to run these in reverse consignor order from the sale. We're going to do our best to communicate their tag numbers to you. And for now, until we get a sale order rolled out, that is how we're going to identify them. We should have that sale order out as soon as possible, but we welcome you to tune in and look what we've got to offer you. We're going to start, it looks like, with the Polish Mafia, Jade Livestock. I think a group that has been waiting in the wings for this opportunity for quite some time. If you were at Fiesta last year, they sat ringside and made huge investments into this program through the Fiesta sale, and I think the evidence is here today as they get on the block.
Well, that's right. As we get in, as we get in to the offering here from Connor and Mike Beam, certainly
29.
We're looking at tag 29 here, and that's the one that we have the dark neck weather up front, and one that as we just stand back and analyze him, really tall at the top of that one's blade. One that comes to his dents and his bone work and elevated up front, the kind that looks to me like you take him and you feed him a little and you maybe track that one a bit. That one looks like one that's going to be really stout and go and kind of fit pretty well anywhere. You find somebody likes a long neck when he has that, or a stout dents when he's got that as well. So that's Polish Mafia tag 29 there, Jade Livestock and Mike Beam.
Well, as they're bringing tag 30 up, you know, this is one of the stops on the Friday Night Fever tour, and that's something that I always enjoy doing. I'm going to apologize ahead of time to those of you watching online and some of you here that are already in the crowd. If I seem a little distracted, I do have 2 or 3 things going on here today, so that's why we've got Austin and Glenn helping me. We're going to rotate a few other guys on the commentary as well to help with that throughout the afternoon. But this was a really neat stop. You know, this family raised a lot of hay. They raised a lot of high-quality cattle, and I really enjoyed seeing all that. Even had a coast fishing boat sitting out in the front yard, which is kind of like the ones I've had lately that don't get used very often, look like. But, man, this was a neat stop, and they've been great investors at the Fiesta. As you read through these things, you know, both of the mamas were purchased at the Fiesta, which is kind of how they got the invite to sell here at Friday Night Fever. I get that question a lot, and it's real simple on how to get to sell at the Fever, and that is either be a substantial investor at the Fiesta or now the Symposium, or beat our group of consigners that are already here, which is going to be a little challenging to do.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, I'll let you guys talk about lot 30, but wanted to go ahead and say that about this firm.
Well, yellow-necked weather gets up here, lot 30 from the Polish Mafia as well. That's a Top Gun sired one. Everybody knows that buck making sales half for 100, and that one's out of the King, which is Tree Shaker. Really good genetics packed in that one. You read that guy, that one's big and elevated, got a really good cylindrical shape in his body. You get right over the top of him, boy, that one progresses in terms of width. He's got a good rack, he's shapely there, but that one gets wider, deeper as you get back to his loin, and bigger back here into his hip and pin set. Awful good looking one off from the side, and then as you creep up to him, that one sure got a lot to him.
Yeah, that one's upper skeleton coupled with that kind of look, I think reads a lot of future. Be a good investment. That's Jade Livestock tag 30. We're going to roll to our next consignor. Thank you to them. Next up is Smithwick Genetics. They're out of Lubbock, Texas, a fairly young firm that has just completely pushed the limits in terms of investment and getting better all the time. Smithwick Genetics.
112. Go ahead. Yeah, Smithwick Genetics. John and his family there we invited him actually last year. And if you don't know John, he's very analytical. I would venture out there and say he's got the highest IQ level in the room. Dr. Smithwick, soon to be. But just to be completely honest, he merited in by the number of goats that they have get along at the major shows and the following that they have and using genetics from our core group here of breeders. And last year he just said, hey, I don't think they're ready. And I appreciated that. And he said that they'll be ready next year. And went up there, to the Panhandle and the tour. They went to the old ex-pecan orchard there in the middle of the cotton field and looked at these things and thought he had a nice little set of them. So let you guys talk about it. I don't have the sheets in front of me as far as genetics, but really proud to have this firm with us.
Well, John brings us one here. 112 is this red, roan-headed, really wild-colored one, and one that, boy, you just like that one from the side in terms of top line, underline, and the way that one progresses. You've got one there just that you really like, and to me, he reads one that you can go a long time with, one that you really appreciate for his muscle density, one that just has an outstanding look and still moderate in terms of his outline. Good one there. I think you need to take a look at that guy. You're looking for one that you can go a while and have some success with. Certainly unique in terms of color and pattern, and then one that's awful good top line to underline in progression of width.
Yep. Mama to these, we're going to see a few first base kids, and that was a buck that we had at KM Sires that we had purchased from Macon. He was out of the turkey farm doe that Make bought, so she's done a real good job for them. And then we're getting some echo back, guys. The mama to these wethers has made 2 stud bucks for John and a reserve division champion at St. Angelo. So out of a real good
awful
doe.
Good one there, and love that one just in terms of its uniqueness and color pattern, moderation of size and density as well.
Next up should be 11.
Next up is Cape-shouldered wether that he brings us 111, so 111 there, last 3 digits of his tag. Another first base sired one that comes to us and similar just in terms of size, really good in terms of his elevation. Little bulkier in his center of his body and cage as you just analyze him. I think he reads to me to be moderate, even maybe a nickel more moderate than the little red roan one, and one that certainly is big-backed and smooth as he brings back into his loin, and one that you like. You get right here behind him and read him in his pin set. That one is awful wide down low, awful wide in the center, and then matches that mass and width as you progress up top.
Yeah, Smithwick is kicking the door in here at Friday Night Fever for his first time, and certainly doing that with some authority. A great pair of them from Smithwick Genetics.
As you're watching here with us and following along on Facebook Live, there actually is a chat option. So if you have a question about one of these lots, you can chat in there, and we've got that here on the screen in front of us, and we'll be able to answer those questions or further explain ourselves there. So
yep.
I believe up next. Can y'all hear good over there, Kevin? Y'all good? Come up a little. Blake? Yeah. I think Austin's mic is getting us some feedback.
If it's my fault, I'll take it. That's fine.
I just think it's coming from that mic.
Yeah. Next up is Jake Richardson -Owens. Congratulations on the New Life event there, Jake P. And Richardson Livestock. I think somebody, regardless of species, that his name comes with certainly in high regard. We're glad to have him here at Friday Night Fever.
Jake, what number do you have here? 3042, and as we're finding that one here in our paperwork, this was a top 3 tour spot. Okay, we pull up there that morning, stay the night in Brownwood, or stayed the night in Angelo, I'm sorry, and then drove into Brownwood that morning before we went to Jamie's and looked through that set, and we pull up. First thing we get to do is pick vegetables. Learned about, I did not know the onions grew on the surface of the ground. I learned that. We got to pick vegetables. Learned about 3 different kinds of greens. some of the best carrots we've ever had. So definitely a top spot on the tour. And then we went and looked at the livestock, and Jake and Glasscock's, man, that was super impressive. They sold an awesome doe kid there the other night on the Friday Night Females, a sister to Gravy. Check out the bucks and the sires that those guys are offering too, because, man, I'm going to tell you, this young group of progressive minds is going places. And, again, how do you get into the Friday Night Fever, and that's consistently win? You know, these guys are definitely tied to that, and they've been in as many backdrop pictures as anybody in the room, so they obviously merited an invite. But let you guys talk to stock there. You've got the paperwork in front of you, but wanted to give a shout-out to the garden and the livestock.
Well, the 3042 weather that Jake P. has up top here now, that's a Woke son, and he's out of a hat trick, a BTW hat trick doe. What comes to mind as I glance at that weather is no holes, no faults, bulletproof would be a good word just as you read that one. I'll note that he shucked his hair up front, but you look at the wings on that back of that one's legs, that guy's going to be woolly down low, and then you just start talking about the quality of the stock. Tall shoulder, proportioned really good from the side, square in the way he's built, surface to top, and that one progression of width is outstanding as he comes back from his blade out through his hip and pin set. I think just high quality stock. And as I glanced over when Jake was just holding that one to the side, that one casts a presence right there. Just the kind that look like they can get up in the front end and give you a shot to win. Awesome stock right there that he brings is certainly, I think that one merits being up here in the front end of your game.
Yeah, next one is also Jake P. I'm assuming the next one is going to be a tag G6. Maybe a little different profiling one here, probably a different endpoint, but certainly the same kind of quality.
Well, as we get that one, Jake P. gets him pulled up around and set up. Boy, that one's got the tacos and a moderate outline, still a really elevated look up front, extremely long-necked. You get on the three-quarter of this guy, he is just tremendous in terms of his three-quarter view, the way he shoots straight uphill to the front, and we can see his shape and his ditch at his blade back to his loin edge from 20 feet, and then look at the creases right there that he pushes below his pin set and the corner of his butt. That one's got the side shape, got the look. Don't know where the end point is. Feed him till God says it's ready to roll, and then you've got you one here. That one has the shag already. He's got the big fur. He's got the really good fur, and one that I think certainly you have to appreciate sheer quality, but one that maybe stays a little more moderate as you go along and is extremely dense. Love his proportions from the side. Jake P's brought us a couple of real good ones here. He is sired by Jinx out of an MLK doe. Awesome pedigree there, and one that sure looks like starting at his skull is going to be good in terms of a feeding one.
And no doubt, a pair of certainly different ones. Both have a ton of value. That one is probably as versatile in terms of his timeline as anything that we've got here. I like that one a great deal.
Do Crawford Livestock next. I don't think we have there. You got it? Yep. Well, Crawford Livestock is up next, and you know, Riley and his family are good friends of ours from Comfort. Riley's the mill manager there at Littner Feed, so he's responsible for that feed that most of us feed, the show right that's made in Texas there at Littner's. And him and his brother have a couple of goats or a handful of goats, and they're really putting a set of does together that are really nice. This one's Mama, I think, won our county show last year, and then they flushed her to Anchor Tat, which is the buck that we bought from you guys, the fuzzy handcuffed son that we bought from you guys and Bob Allen. And you know, this goat's young. I think he needs to go back on his mama because he's not quite eight weeks old yet. But I went to the house and just said, hey, I think that's one you guys need to bring. So let you guys talk to stock.
I don't think we have to make very many comments about the obvious things of this one. Not only is that one incredibly fuzzy from his knee down, you study his toes and his feet. He's genuinely just a big-boned livestock. I think if he was to walk around, he could fall in his own footprint and get lost. He's skinny, he's young, he's little, but I mean, that one's got huge upside.
Well, I think he does have a lot of upside, and starting at the surface and moving right up to his top. This one is younger. He's 45, 47, 8 days old, doing just what he needs to do at this time in this age and maturity pattern. I think you're looking at one that's just got a ton of future in him, and one that as you take him and feed him, henceforth, that one's just got all the upside in the world. Looks to me like he's going to stay pretty small. A lot of guys call us, a lot of people talk, hey, we want one in one of those first divisions, one of those first classes. Don't know where his end point is exactly, but don't think you need to buy this one thinking he's going to be big. You read his forearm, you read his cannon bone, that one's going to stay small, extremely furry and dense. Awful nice one there. As I read the particulars here, 47 days old. There's an insurance plan typed up, could be paid by the seller for you, so that you have the security of knowing you get that one purchased. They're going to pay for insurance on him to get him through. They're going to take him home, keep growing him a bit. They'll wean him sometime there, and you can pick him up after July 1. So they're doing a lot for you in terms of managing the game from here until you get that one pulled out. Awful good opportunity here on that one comes from Crawford.
And there's a lot of lip service of guys that tell you that they believe in things and they're committed, and I'd say having an insurance premium or an insurance policy before they even offer them for sale means they're certainly committed to that one being successful. Next up, some new guys on the block, Blaze and Braxton Mock. I won't read you their address on here. I dang sure won't read you the address on Kevin's sheet. But the Mock boys have slowly but surely made some investments and followed in some pretty big footsteps, and it looks like it's certainly coming to fruition here.
Well, I'll let Kevin talk just a minute about his boys and what they've done with this before we get to talking about this outstanding weather that's up here on the block.
Well, the boys are they're wanting to learn the business, and you'll see Blaze going to help us in the ring this evening, and they own some sows, with bigs, and they're wanting to reinvest their money, which I'm proud of them for. And it was either put it in boats or goats this time because their sows are actually making money. So we were in our December bred doe sale. Blaze wasn't real pumped that we were selling this one's mama on the doe sale. She was our lot one doe, and I said, well, big boy, you got your own money. Why don't you just buy her if you don't think we need to sell her? And so the boys, I think they gave 10-5 for her. She was our lead off at the sale. She's a blow your mind on the 666 donor. Blow your mind would be like the sire of Daddy Issues. He was a wish on Alan Morgan's number 2 doe. So real good genetics there. And then this thing's sired by Keep the Faith. They got him a nice little doe kid sister that they're going to get to put back in their little herd. And real proud of them. But she, bless her heart, she did a really good job for a first-time doe. She give them all she's got. They're just a hair behind on size, but I think the quality is really nice.
Well, I love the condition this one's in. As a guy analyzing young goats and prospect goats here at the sale, that one you can see every part of him. You can read every shot of muscle and shape that one has. From the 3/4 at 20 feet or 25 feet, I'll tell you that one is impressive in terms of his 3/4 view. His loin has a groove in it from here, and I've never been on top of him. That one is really unique in terms of his look. Love his build. Love the appearance of flexibility. I bet we get that one down and make that one walk. His joint angles are outstanding. His hock and foot placement look like livestock are supposed to. And then at the 3/4, that one is sharp looking, runs uphill, square built, and extra progressive in terms of width right here out through his hip. Looks outstanding from the angle we're sitting, and you just get back and talk pedigree. Keep the Faith, Blow Your Mind, if I'm not mistaken. Blow Your Mind is Daddy Issues and sire, and I think one that's just you throw 666 on the bottom, foundation doe there at Mock Livestock. Just an awesome opportunity, and one that looks the part not only genetically but phenotypically as well.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a group of females across the country that I think you just know from their name and from their number, and I think that the grandmother in that one is certainly that. Next up, we've got a new one, and we've got a great story here. South of the Nueces Show Goats is our next consigner, and if you will recall, they made an investment into the Spence and Company fund and memorial fund to be able to sell here, and not only did they do that, they made investments across the country to up their game and their doe base, and it's showing here for sure. South of the Nueces Show Goats.
Well, like Austin said, man, we're really excited to have this firm here. New faces to the game, older genetics, more established genetics, though, on what they've done. Purchased the Alan Morgan, or the used Alan Morgan bucks, I think, pretty for the most part, which those don't need any introduction, back on the set of Hen Cow stows they bought. And I know they're really high on this one, and rightfully so. Man, this thing has some big pieces.
He does have some big pieces, and starts with the genetic package up top. He's sired by a tag team She Said buck they call Fake News, back over the top of one of those 24 carats, and we know that those are moderate, stout, and here we have one that looks that way to me and reads that way from the profile in 3/4. That one is dense in terms of back shape. Got the big feet and fur as well, but proportions good from the side. He's long in terms of his hip. He's shapely as you read his stifle to the outside curvature of his leg. That one's just got lots of big ring pieces here. Looks like he's got the gas to feed. One that you sure have fun with and could have fun early as well as late. They've got that one in rig to go and sell today. Really a nice one here. Genetically awful good as well. That's going to be tag 54 there from south of the Nueces.
What's that next tag number? 57. Again, south of the Nueces brought a great set. This is tag 57. I think one that's certainly striking from the profile. Maybe not as fleshy as some of those that are going to hop up today, but I think one that has a wicked, wicked killer look, has a lot of upside.
That one has tremendous look. Austin nailed it. That one, when we're over here on the side of him, wild looking up front, bubbly in terms of muscle shape. That's out of Alan Morgan buck Ketchup. Ketchup goes back to Not Tonight, Overshooter. That one's just got an incredible look from the side, an incredible presence as he's propped up there. Love the balance and proportion. Lots of side shape in that one as you get back from his hook back to his pin and drop down into his stifle. There is lots of creases, folks, as we read that one from the 3/4, and still has that sharp look. Without touching him, I can tell you that one's got incredible skin. That one's got incredible look from the side. Certainly high quality here. They brought us in that tag number 57. Oh, another note on that. That one's mom produced 4 wethers last year. Those 4 wethers averaged 12,000 at auction. So outstanding on the bottom side of that pedigree as well. A lot of quality in that one.
Next up is 118 from south of the Nueces. I think one that's got a little different flavor than the last one. Certainly wide, stout, powerful, and shapely.
Well, that one is out of Alan's Good Eye buck. Good Eyes is Seabass son, and one that's made lots of good ones for Alan Morgan there at his place, and certainly they bring us one here that's awful good just in terms of his look. One that certainly reads to be hard, firm, and fresh in terms of touch and muscle from this angle. One that I think you could just take and go ahead and roll some gas to. He's pretty elevated up front. His cannon bone's a little longer. One that I think you read maybe into. You could go with that one a little earlier in the game. Certainly you can feed him how you want, but that's just my eye looking at him. I think that one's got a lot of upside as well.
Next up for south of Nueces will be 161, a happy hour offering out here. I think that has just kept it together and a consistent set for them. Another one that's elevated, Got a great look. Probably looks to feed a little bit bigger for his endpoint, but another very nice offering from south of the Nueces.
Well, that one's not one to cooperate here on the stand. He's probably had his fill of this a little bit already. Here we have one, once again, I agree with Austin, just in terms of framework, length of neck and front end. Looks like that one can go, and one you can go ahead and pour a little bit too and get that one to spread and go. He is sired by Happy Hour. That's another tag team son that Alan owns in partnership with the whole family. They use that buck to make this one, and I think certainly high quality stock here as well. Lots of upside in this guy.
Again,
want to say thank you to the South and Nueces firm. Part of their buy-in to be here last year at Fiesta helped us purchase as the Jason Spence Memorial Friday Night Buyers Group. We purchased 7 of the 10 cell-making wethers at Kansas City, and then had a pretty big prepaid buyers number there at the 2023 San Antonio goat sales. So, man, thank those guys for helping with that. Was able to help a lot of kiddos.
Clay Copeland and Ace High Livestock is up next. I think they're bringing us 2 of them. I think a firm that has just continuously gotten better and better all the time. They're on the front page more and more often every single day. Certainly a pleasure to have them here. Look forward to what they do today.
Well, a really dense one here and one that's extra shapely. As you read that one, he's a meatloaf sired wether. Goes back to try harder over 6'4", which is a gator over She Said's mother. So genetically one that certainly comes to the surface, and you appreciate those things top and bottom of that pedigree as well. You read into this one, just start looking at him. That one is wide, that one is stout, that one is dense back. Has the look of one that can go, and sure enough, he's burly in that rib cage. He's big in that center, powered up as you get right in behind him. Lots of quality there, and a pedigree that reads to be the kind that'll feed on down the road and get you a chance at getting one of those backdrops. That was tag number 2345. 2345 we just talked.
2345 from Aces High Livestock. Next up, they've got tag 2307. I think one that probably doesn't have as much time on him and as much age, but I mean one that is just tricked out, wild-looking thing that I think could be a lot of fun to see what he looks like in 30, 60 days.
Well, we have another one here, and this one is a little different speed in terms of elevation and look and cage. He is sired by Anchor Tat, as another one was earlier. And Kevin misspoke. That Anchor Tat is a Popeye son there that Bob Allen raised, and certainly an outstanding buck, surfacing, making good ones. And we'll see more good ones out of him this evening here, studded at KM Sires. Knockout Soldier Boy on the bottom side of this one. Wild looking, wild caged, wild bodied one. One that reads a lot of future just in terms of how he's built in the center of his body. He's had a little bit of rough day just figuring out his mom and getting her nursed properly, but you read that one in terms of his skull and his cage and his look elevated up front. That one's got a lot of upside future, a lot of shape in that one, and one that I think you take that one home, gets better every day. One certainly you're going to like as you go further down the road with that one. Going to be proud you owned him this evening.
Yeah, there's no doubt when that one decides he wants to be a show goat, I think that one upgrades real fast, and you get a lot of miles out of that one. Wild looking, tricked out one from Aces High. That
one's shapely racked and looks to be a little smaller at his end point. I think that one gives you an opportunity to stay small and hunt right up there at the front of your class. Awful good stock there from Ace High.
Next up is Mr. Salt and Pepper himself, Lacy Livestock. bringing one that if I could set the mood behind the camera, we've kind of got a shot of these things in line here, and his daughter had that one propped up looking right at us. I don't know where my kid is riding her scooter, but she could probably ride right through this one's chest and all the way out the backside, because, unequivocally the widest one that's been propped up on this block today. Completely different game changer here.
Well, this was another good stop on the Fever Tour, and I've missed a couple of them here. I apologize for that, trying to keep up with my phone and questions we got coming in. These people know good show stock. They got good sows. They've had good cattle. They got really good goats, and they know how to get them ready and know how they got to be built to be competitive in the end. And I was really proud of this one on the tour. He's big caged and big muscled, and boy, he's really wanting to cooperate up there on the stage. But really thought we had a nice goat here.
I'm just going to call that one 3D, because it really doesn't matter what direction you look at that one. You get the look of one that's extra wide, really burly in terms of his cage, and still awesome in his underline. Looks to me like he is ready. He's ready to look at. He's ready to knock the top off the barn, and he's ready to sell. That one comes back to you, and you just appreciate his look, his balance, his proportion. To have that much density, he's really level in terms of his hip. Great from blade back as you read his top line. Love the proportion of underline, and then you get on top of him. That thing is massive. That one's ready to roll. He's a P67 sired wether. No introduction needed there. Mom's an oops dam. She made a $15,000 one here that sold at the Fever last year. An awful high quality buck prospect that they brought. So this one's also a full sib to that doe kid they sell in the female sale the other evening. TGBA redshirt can be shown here in Angelo or any of those other majors. That's an awful good one.
Yeah, you could buy that one in about, about 6 hours. And if you had a show on Saturday, you would, you'd be close enough to know who won for sure, because that one is ready to rock and roll. Wide, round-bodied, big backed. Great offering there from Lacy Livestock. Next up is Newsome and Ripley Show Goats. It looks like they're bringing us 3508. Yours is the first papers that so far have been in order. I've heard about these for about 3 weeks now. Kevin has certainly been extremely fired up about what he's bringing here. This is honestly my first time seeing them in line and up here on the stand, and I can see why he's been so talkative about it. Newsome Ripley Show Goats.
Well, that one is just stout, and he should be stout. That one's sired by the Buck UFC that Bryce and I own with Newsome and Ripley, one that we raised, and they bought half of. That is one that is absolutely dense, freakish in terms of his look and build, very burly, and has the big fur. You look at this one, and that's what you're getting. You're getting one that's wild-looking, one that's wide, one that's very stout and dense, and comes to us as a buck prospect here, one that's still got the seeds in him, and these guys believe enough in this one that Sydney's got on the rack here that if that one's kept as a buck, he's a double down option, and they still retain some in-herd semen interest in that one so that they can use him in their program. They love that guy a lot, and they should. That one is dense down low. He's got a great hip and pin set, extra shapely as he comes up, bred in the purple. Awful nice one there that they bring as a buck option, a double down option here to the Fever.
Well, as they're bringing the next one up, man, I really enjoyed, what'd you say, Kevin? 3490 here. I really enjoyed this visit. Man, they've got an awesome facility out there in Rock Springs, just a beautiful area. And we talked about this when we were in Mason Glen. You know, when it rains, how pretty that country gets. And we enjoyed a nice dinner there at the jail sale. And, man, the stock also was really, really good. They've got a lot of them. And I'm going to just tell you, you know, they probably don't get the individual care as some of them, which I think is advantageous to the buyer. Because you have some more upside, just to be completely honest. But, man, these things are out of a nice set of females, and I really think they're going to feed. This one has an awesome cage in him.
Well, he does, and when I had the opportunity to look at that raise the bar buck that they have, the Harlem that they raised this last round, that one has done just that. They couldn't have picked a better name for that sire. He has made them exceptional in terms of their look and their build, and still push the limits in terms of width and shape. You get right up to this one. It's my opinion that's one of the better ones that they've made there at Newsome Ripley. That one has the look from the side, the balance and proportion, the natural width, and then the density. I love his cage in the center of his body. I love his upper hip in terms of levelness and squareness. That thing profiles, proportions, comes to us in a shaggy package. His hair's laying down, and it is all there. So awful good one there that they bring us. They're very proud of that one. That's Fever-esque in terms of his look and his build. Awful good in terms of his genetics as well.
Yeah, it's very hard to make them that long and that level hipped and still have mobility and athleticism out of that rear leg, and that one certainly does that.
A lot of feedability in that pedigree. You know, pocket changes, the bucket starts. There's been lots of those things get along at a pocket change and that Harlem, obviously. So I really like that one.
A little different speed here just in terms of size. And we bring a paint one up, 35-42 that they bring. We need to get into that one just a little, Sydney. That one is dense and stout down low, and that's a moderate size one that reads to be extra good in terms of width. Very shapely as you get on the 3/4. That's a UFC back on a Cat Daddy, and that mating for these guys has been a home run there at Newsome Ripley. Just one here that I think if you think he's big enough for you or you like to be small, I think you've got one there that you need to read and look at and study on. Get him out in the pen and get him out back in the back and look at that one. That one just has the right kind of look to go big time down in the lower classes, and certainly there's lots of young kids here. There's lots of people that want to have a chance at one of those, and they bring us one here that reads true, reads that way, extra in terms of width, extra in terms of density. Nice one there. That's 3542. Little paint weather comes from Newsome Ripley.
Next up is the last one from Newsome Ripley, 31-10. I think just a testament to their depth of quality. The last one that they're bringing may be one of the better ones, in my opinion. I like that one a very, very great deal. Ultra complete one, got enough look, certainly got the kind of punch when you get in the 3/4 to get you where you need to go.
Well, 3110 is wild body and shapely. And this three-quarter view here where we're sitting, Austin, that one's got incredible skin. We don't have to be up or touch him or pet him to know that. His skin touch and tone and muscle shape and his muscle striation right here back in his hip and his stifle are just exceptional. Extra shallow. As you read that one in terms of his rib cage, we showed a lot of these sheep guys that get to judge these shows, and they have to have that presence and that look. That one is wild necked, wild bodied, long spine, and still flat backed and extra shapely. Lots of quality there in the pedigrees. A Godfather back on a Pokemon, and just a lot of opportunity in that one. Looks like a ton of future to me as we sit here and look at him.
Yeah, that was a must bring when we looked through that younger set and they brought those up. That was definitely one that I said, hey, we got to have that one. You know, this is a little bit off subject as we get this little thing up here that's one of the most cracked open ones we're going to sell tonight. But did your grandmother ever get mad at you, Austin?
My grandmother's nickname for me was Angel Boy.
Angel Boy was your nickname? So she never, like, looked over her glasses at you? I just looked over there at Jakey, and he's got those readers down low. It reminded me of my grandmother. Okay, J&J up next, and I don't think we can call them transplants anymore because they are full Texans. Kids have made it through a major show season, and man, they have brought one here, guys. What you need?
Need that one's number. What's that number, Justin?
25.55. Okay. You know, this is one of the more cracked open, biggest cage ones. I went back there and handled that thing earlier, and it's manly, and really excited about this one this evening.
Well, that's out of the Preacher Buck, which is a tag team son. She said, line bred on the bottom side. One here that they bring us, and once again, I think great big feet, one that reached to be furry, moderate sized and outlined, just incredible in terms of his forerib and his cage, center body and length of hip all add up. And then you read that one, not just from a profile, but a density and 3/4 standpoint. That one is super shapely. That one is really big at his blade, good in terms of the edge of his loin, and blends back into a great big hip. Another small one here, one that reads to have a lot of future to me. Love his spot backed one, 2555.
As intriguing of one as we've seen thus far, to be cute-headed, long-necked, still big-pawed, and like Kevin mentioned, that one's center body, and that one's just ability to mass up from their back is awfully intriguing. Very good one from J Livestock.
What number is this one? 51.
2551. Next one up here on the block from J&J, sired by No Tags back over a high roller dam. That one is really stretchy in terms of his center body, good in terms of his underline. He's shallow up front. He's long-necked, one that reads big-footed and yet extremely wild in terms of that neck, that underline, and look from the 3/4 here. He says Doe makes 5th overall last round at CYE out there in California. So proven genetics here as well. And then in a package, it's just outstanding and fun to look at. That one's just good in terms of how he's assembled and built. Awful good one here they bring us, and one that reads to have a ton of future as well.
And you talk about competitive families and knowing how to win and what they got to look like, handle like, be built like, to be competitive from coast to coast. I don't think any family or any firm in the room knows it more than they do. So really like this set. They got us a dumper back there too. We'll get to look at in a minute. So, what do you got next, Sonny? College kid here.
Yeah, my neighbors there at Cali Livestock from Amarillo. I think we just have cracked open what the family's capable of. Sonny had quite the campaign her last 4 or 5 years there, and they've got one that's probably a touch more aggressive than Sonny waiting at home. They come out. They don't bring very many wethers out publicly, but when they do, I think you need to tune in and watch what's about to happen.
This was a highlight stop for a few reasons. We've got our first, as we sit here in front of the symposium banner, we've got our first confirmed symposium lot, which will be a using, tracking, friendly, jam up, trial quality dog from Cali Livestock, which will sell at the symposium. You got to turn your mic on.
Are they gonna sell Crow then?
You got to laugh on that one.
If Mandy was here, she'd punch me in the ear.
So we got we're gonna sell. We got our first symposium lot. The biscuits, world class.
Absolutely.
Homemade biscuits for breakfast. Got to do that. And then we went and looked at the goats, after all of that. And, man, they're good. Most of these things, I think, are out of Carry the Boats. And that flat worked. I said it, and I'm going to say it again. I thought probably as good of a set of Carry the Boats. I saw lots of those, obviously, on my tour because that buck's bred lots of does. And I probably thought as a set he worked across all those Mozart does as good or better than he did anywhere else because of the combined cage and just sheer body density that he was able to put, or those does was able to put on top of that freakish look and muscle. And so really was high on this set. I'll let you talk him, Glenn, but this was one of the best stops.
Well, that describes the one we're looking at here. 2311, 2311 is a Carry the Boats over a snake doe. And I'll tell you, if they have a doe there at Cali's and she is still standing there. I'll tell you right now, they're tough on them, and they love her if she's there, and they must love this one's mom. They did a nice job of getting one here that is just outstanding. Burly as they can get in terms of width, mass, and shape. Love the ditch we can see at this 3/4 right down his back. We've asked him to stand up here and show a long time. I guess we could have showed it class in San Antonio by now, actually. But that one is cracked open, runs straight uphill, and has all the bells and whistles to get you right there up toward the front. Just reads good. Good color, good balance, good squareness. You can read his hock angle and his shape. That one's just got the right look, got the right build to be big time down the road. 2311 Cali Livestock, carry the boat, son.
You know, I think some versatility here, because I do think that one makes a really good Division I at Dallas. But I don't read him to get huge, and I think y'all can take him off. No, take him off. But he doesn't get too big for Houston. You know, he's far enough along. We can get to showing this summer or fall, but I think can make the trip around the calendar as well. So 2308's next. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's good. 2308 comes to us. That's a boats as well, back on a slider dam. Slider's a buck we have there at our house, and one that has worked well for the folks that have had the privilege of using him. He's also the sire of Pfeiffer's Juice son, the buck they call Juice there, that's done so well for him. So love those sliders on the bottom side. Here's another boat that they bring to us. Extremely dense, not quite as long-bodied, but extremely proportional. Reads like a middleweight dark cross barra we'd want to see rolling in San Antonio. That one is built sound. He's built wide. He's built stout. Runs uphill. Body proportion is great. Looks to me to be a significant amount more moderate probably than the one that they just had up here. Every bit as dense in terms of rack shape, loin edge, and pin set. They brought a good one there, and as a side comment, boy, this one does have the shag. One I think can go a long time, and frankly could go early, and any day you wanted to haul him. He's got the right kind of look, got the right kind of maturity to go often if you want to run him around the ring and get you a bunch of buckles. That one's going to get you a big bucket full of them.
Yeah, and I think regardless of who you show that one to, he's wide enough and just has enough shape to hit muscle guys. That one's no slouch in terms of balance, and I think all three of these that Cali's have brought, I probably spent more time on the phone with Kelby talking build and structure and function and just what it means to him and just that family's commitment to maintaining that, I think shows through here. And I think boats bring some really extreme pieces in terms of upper skeleton, natural width, and just sheer muscle shape.
Well, we're going to bring 2318 up here to the block for Sonny to mash on. This is a Built Right sired wether. Built Right is a tag team son that they have, and back over another slider doe, one that you just feel so confident in how the bottom side of the pedigree reads, and tag team has just done an outstanding job, and I think frankly getting better the further he's gone. I think people are figuring that guy out, and here we've got one, and just as I looked over and they're just standing with him, that one's presence is just outstanding. Flat back, long spined, wide and extra furry, got the right kind of running gear to be sound and stay sound no matter how long you want to go. That one looks a little heavyweightish to me, guys, and I think you want to be up there and have a chance to run into bigs and play with the big boys. That one looks like he can do just that. Width, density, look, balance, flexibility. We're sitting on a really nice one here. Pedigree reads to be the kind that can go a while and still be big and fresh when you get there.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, when you get in on close to this one, he is stout. I mean, he has some arms, some foot size, and big appendages. I really like this goat a lot. Trent Kemker, can I get you to the stage, please?
Yeah, Peyton Williams, Williams Livestock. is next up, bringing a handful of them. I think if you followed along the last few years, what Williams has done and just the name that he's made for his family, it's been quite impressive. Does not look like he's let us down with what he's propping up on the block now.
Well, this, Peyton and Tori, they're soon to be our neighbors as we're moving back to the Stephenville, Hyco area. And, man, really excited about that. You know, when we moved away from there in 2017, they were just kind of getting moved in, and really excited for the growth and the success of their program, both on the raise and show weather side and their buck business. It's just took off incredible. That is the home of hidden treasure there as well, and just super excited to be able to work with them at a more intimate basis, just being that close to each other. And, man, the stock that they brought here to us are very, very good.
Well, Bryce and I were able to run by Peyton's and get us a cane of semen the other day there at Peyton and Tori's, and Jet was there, and we had the privilege of going in the barn and looking at this pair that he brings to us, and it's 23-0-18 Popeye's son there, Bob Allen's Popeye, over Harlem handshake and a walk the line on the bottom. This one read really good running around that pen. Then he got him, Jet got him, propped him up for us, and I'll tell you, he is all there. That one is wide, he's elevated, he is square built and furry. That one's got the right kind of running gear and look to go the distance, in my opinion. He's pretty close to being ready in terms of where his condition is. I think his maturity reads true. Boy, that one is stout-skulled, stout-footed, balances up good. Progression of width is outstanding. You get over the top of this one, get right in behind him.
That's the first one from Peyton and crew at Williams Livestock. We're good guys. We can switch them.
That is good stuff.
Next up is an ultra, a big limbed one that's big armed and stout. Still has plenty of look. I think this one is as good as anything that's been propped up thus far today.
23-0-0-7 is Peyton and Tori's Williams Livestock's next one that comes up, their second one they're bringing us this evening. He is also a Popeye son, back over one of my favorite bucks that Kate Hoffman raised, and that's that Haymaker buck. Notorious for making outstanding females there for Cade and the Pfeiffer family at Orlando. That one reads extra dense and shapely. Austin described him best. Boy, that thing is burly down low, got the right kind of shape. It doesn't matter if you show to the guy that likes them good looking or the lady that likes them extra dense or stout. That one's got the big muscles and the bulges and still proportions so good from the side. Awful good one there. Starts out extra dense, extra big pin, and then you just read the surface area that one takes up when he stands on the ground. That one's got the big paws. Lots of good in that pair that Peyton brings. I think just an outstanding pair that he brings. Extra high quality. I know he believes in them. Awesome pedigree in that pair as well.
We're going to change horses just a minute, Glenn, if you need to take a break. We're really excited this year. You guys want to step up here. We're really excited this year. So Braxton, one of our boys, shows sheep exclusively, and it's been neat to see them develop, into Brax liking the sheep and Blaze liking the goats, and that's been really fun in the barn to see them work together but also have some independence to do their own deal. And with that, this stock showing, it's a lifestyle deal. You have to live it to be competitive at it. You have to live it to want to do it. And Braxton asked if we could kind of grow the sheep side of our business here through Friday Night Fever and hopefully progress that into our other events. So Zach Howell, who's my good friend and actually helps Brax with his sheep on the showmanship side and helps us with some selection. Zach jumped on board with us as part of the Friday Night Fever team, and we've got 11 sheep here to offer you tonight, and man, they are extremely high quality. They fit the mold for what we try to do through this event. I think we've sold, I got to count the other day, I think we've sold 5 sheep, maybe 6 sheep in the last 2 years here, and 3 or 4 of them have won major show banners. And so we got you 11 of them this year, and I'm really excited about the set. Cooper and Zach are going to talk them. Austin's going to introduce them. I'm going to go do a little work, give you all a few minutes to talk through these sheep. I got a couple things I got to take care of, and then I'll be back to talk some goats.
My 4-year-old informed me that her mother's being mean, so I may have to go crack some skulls as well, because nobody talks to her like that. First up on the sheep side is Cali Livestock out of Hondo. Of course, deep ties to the Mock family there, and I think a pair of brothers that are certainly paving the way for success for themselves and for their customers to come. Always around, always getting better all the time. Glad to have Cali here.
We on? All right, guys, am I on? We're hot, we're ready. All right, well, welcome to the sheep portion here of Friday Night Fever. Certainly a privilege here, I guess, to be part of the crew and get to visit with you about these and all the consigners. I think we start off with one here, this silver tinted weather. Really, that's one that's tall fronted, really extended, big legged. You got to appreciate the kind of shape and expression that one's got. He's green, but he's got the right kind of build and the right kind of look. I'll let Zach visit with you here about the way this one's bred, but I think this one, from the side, he's certainly got a show ring look, and you get on top of him, he's got the right kind of shape and expression.
Talk about this one's genetics. This one here is sired by MF, and his dam is a shower chicken. Shower chicken dams have done a lot of winning over the years, and they're still holding true to their genetics today. Looking at this one, seeing him here excites a lot of people. You get your hands on him. He's immaculate with his touch, his shape, and like Cooper said, from the side, this one doesn't disappoint. There's a lot of good in this sheep.
I'll figure this out. Thanks to the Cali boys for being here. We certainly appreciate them. Great way to kick off the sheep portion. Next up is High Livestock. I probably don't need to say much. He's sitting up here at the table. He probably doesn't need to read his notes either.
This one here is my weather. Here he would be a frog on a bullseye ewe. The bullseye ewe that this one out of would be a full sib to Logan Jackson's grand at Kansas City back in 18, and then the mother would be a flushmate sister to the mother of Zane Walker's grand at San Antonio in 21. I like this guy a bunch. I'm not going to get too high on myself here. I'll let Cooper see what he says on him.
Well, I think that's one that, Zach, you could certainly get high on, because as we sit here and study on this guy, it starts at the ground with a big rugged structure, big feet, big legs, got the extra shag to go with it. Studying this one from the side, you can certainly tell that he's a frog, because he's got the silhouette from the side, the underlying quality that seems to run true with that line. I think this one here, you get on top of him, you notice the extra width and dimension that he offers. He's pulled apart underneath. I think this one here has got a lot of feedability. I think this one they brought today is very, very good, very wide, very dimensional, a lot of feedability in this guy.
GM suggested that you put the microphone a little bit closer so he can hear you. Hey, I don't necessarily follow the sheep circuit and these sires very much, but when I recognize both of them in a pedigree, probably means a little bit of something. I don't really care what it says on that paper. I can see what that one looks like. That one looks high dollar, pretty expensive to me. I think in the next few hours we're certainly going to find that out. Again, that's High Livestock, tag number
2307.
2307. We're circling back with the J&J crew. Again, they've been at Fever maybe since the very beginning, or pretty dang close. This year they elected to bring one of these sheep out here, and man alive, I love the way that one looks propped up. Certainly one that I don't think you can get lost in a crowd with something like that.
Well, Tater certainly is he's no oncomer here on the scene. That one there has been around. He's done a very, very good job. I can tell you that I've seen a lot of these out of that buck and bred bred that direction, and this one here is a true testament to the kind of show ring look. It's amazing in the way these Dorpers have changed. I remember a few years ago that we were all looking for the one that wasn't the roundest. Now we're looking at show sheep. They look the part. They look like they belong in a backdrop. This one's from the side has got a great look. This thing's legs are gigantic for a Dorper. I can't tell you how big they are. I don't know how big they look on camera, but in person they are big. This one's got the right kind of texture too to his muscle shape. Looks like one that'll feed for a long time. Very, very youthful, very athletic. I think this one here for his breed is truly very, very unique.
I know when I gave Justin a call about bringing a Dorper to the Fever, first thing out of his mouth, it says, I got a really good one. I'm going to talk to Blake, but we got a really good one. So I was really excited from there, and I trusted Justin from that. And, boy, when he showed up, he did not disappoint. This thing has all the bells and whistles. One that's got a great presence from the side, from behind, like Cooper talked about, all his other features. This one's going to have a lot of friends in the show ring.
Awesome offering from J&J. Thank you guys for being here and bringing both species. We appreciate it. Next up is Glasscock Club Lambs, based out of Early, Texas. I think a group that needs very little introduction. Looks like some pedigrees that need even fewer from Glasscock Club Lambs.
Well, I don't know who's got more hair here, the sheep's legs or Trey's beard, but we got a lot going on right here. We got hair for days. This thing props up from the side, really, really tall fronted, flat backed, big pin set in him. Extremely rugged at the ground. You got to appreciate that, and then to have that kind of elegance from the side, that look and the way his neck comes out there on the top side of his shoulders, extremely unique. I think you get on top of this guy, you realize he's got the shape, he's got the expression to go with it. I think they brought one that's truly unique here. Never going to get missed with this kind of presence, ring presence for days.
Jake, he's raving on this one over here.
Do you want to talk about him?
You want to talk this one? Jake, here you go, Jake. You're up.
Well, I don't know much about these sheep, but I want to tell you what, that one at the ground's got a big foot, got the big extra bone. I mean, if that's what you're wanting in these sheep and want some stout, that one there carries the stoutness from the ground all the way up to the top of his loin. And you get on top of that one. When they carried him in there, that one's got a big wide back in him. He's really tight in his chest floor. I mean, that one there, like I said, I don't get asked to judge many sheep shows, but you better not ask me to go judge one, because that one there is going to do a lot of winning.
I don't think that'd be too far out of line.
Yeah, that one can make a guy look real, real smart. That's Glasscock Club Lambs.
One more thing on this thing. This thing is a White Boy Rick on their 2102 donor, which is a Black Mamba 108 Fire Away. And I've spent a lot of time at the Glasscock Ranch going through sheep with Trey, and that pedigree comes up quite a bit. The White Boy Rick buck is a phenomenal creature in person. If you get a chance to go by them and Zephyr, be sure to ask Trey to look at White Boy Rick, because he is an incredible species, and this one's offspring sure does portray that.
Yeah, we are not halfway through the sheep here, and I think that 6 head offered total and 4 banners, I don't think we're going to fall off of that average anytime soon, because these things are shaping up to be killer. Jade Livestock brings a white Dorper out here. I think there are 2 of those banners that have been won, and certainly someone that is recognized there as elite as they come when it comes to the Dorper sheep game. Jade Livestock bringing a white Dorper.
Well, I don't think that it would be remiss to say, if you want to try to get a banner, that this one here certainly has the look to get you there. And as GM was saying whenever he stepped away, he had sold 2 Dorpers in this sale, and they both hung banners. So that certainly speaks for itself. Let's talk a little bit here about the animal. This thing has got the great kind of look, great muscle texture for this breed, extremely shapely. You look at this thing's chest floor and the way it sets in him. His body shape is impeccable. I love the way his skeleton sits out there on his edges. Zach, you want to talk a little bit here? I know GM was just telling you something. I'll let you share that. But I do think this one's feedability for this breed is exceptional, and I would say that his breed character is extremely good as well.
Well, about this one, just talking to Glenn here, 2 sheep here, 2 banners. One to Paige Pence at the Ohio State Fair last year, and one that Braxton Mock showed 2 years ago. And did a lot of winning here in Texas. And I had a lot of joy seeing that one in Mock's barn over the course of the year. And, man, this one does a lot of things compared to that one and even a little bit better. I'm very excited to see what this one does down the road.
Yeah, I can say, these Dorpers broke my kids from showing Dorpers. Not going to lie. We only fed 5 of them and won 3 banners. But this one wants to be a show sheep, and that is worth a lot of money for this PC. And then I will say the absolute highest quality set of livestock I saw on my whole tour, okay? From the show wethers here to the cows on the side of the road to everything else, just in terms of just livestock, was the set of Dorper rams we looked at out there in the field. I don't know how many of them was out there, Glenn, 50 or so. Mixed show rams and commercial rams. But, man, that was just extremely impressive to see. It was one of my favorite things on the tour. So I bragged on him wanting to be a show sheep.
He stood there long enough to win 5 banners.
We're good. Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate Jade Livestock bringing another really good one in here. Hobbs Show Lambs here. Certainly appreciate them coming in from Kansas. They've got one here that's a quick silver on a green line, and I can tell you that the feedability just in those genetics alone should say something. Obviously, if they're going to travel down here, they're going to bring one that's going to garner some attention, and this one certainly does that. If you study this one from the side, his build from the ground up, it's incredible. The width of skeleton underneath matches his width up high. The spread he's got down his back. This one, the height of shoulder in this sheep is incredible. Really analyze this one from the side and study on this guy. Runs uphill all the way, chest floor sets right, drops down through it, really soft flank. I think this one here's got a lot of feedability. Zach, I'll let you touch more on him.
Yeah, when I called Megan, she was just ecstatic about getting to come here, and she knew right away. She told me on the phone, she's like, I'm going to bring the best I can find at our house. And, talking to Megan, I knew that this one was in their pen as one of their March-born keeper bucks, and by golly, I can see why they wanted to keep him. But we are also glad here that they decided to cut him and bring him here, because I think this one down the road in Texas Majors or anywhere you want to take him is going to hit the ring with a lot of presence. I know Hobbs sheep feed very, very well for these Texas Majors, including this past year, a lot of success. Braxton Mock had a second place at Houston. That was a crowd, one of the favorites of the show, and this one sure does a lot of things to move forward with that.
One thing that I would say about Hobbs sheep in general is the ring presence these sheep have, just the way they show, the way they handle themselves around the ring, very, very good, and I can say that would be part of their breeding criteria up there. It'd be the way these sheep move around freely. They like them to look good loose in the pen, and usually if they're good loose, they're going to be really good whenever you stick them. And I think this is a true testament to that. And another one that has a lot of ring presence. Certainly appreciate Hobbs Showlands for bringing this one. Yeah, it takes sometimes cutting one of those special ones to really garner the attention, and that's what they've done here. We appreciate them. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks to the Hobbs crew. And next up is Cali Livestock, Kelly Hare Sheep. They bring a Dorper out, and when they bring one out and offer it to the public, I think business gets real serious. I think somebody who's always in the mix, regardless of the show, when it comes to the Dorper game, this one looks to be no different.
Well, if that look doesn't get you right there, then you're not in the barn, because that is a killer look for a Dorper, the way that one props up and stands. And before we get into this lot itself, I can tell you at Houston, it seems like if you want to be in the backdrop there at Houston, you probably need to feed a Kelly Hare sheep, because those things, when it comes March, their expression, their muscle texture, their shape, it's hard to deny the athleticism, the youthfulness that those sheep carry throughout the year. And I think that's a true testament to why those sheep are so hard to beat there at the end of March and middle of March, because their athleticism, their shape, their muscle texture and tone makes for really good feeding livestock, and they're fun to look at and feed on all year long. And you can have this one ready as soon as you want, and you can show this one as late as you'd like to. So I do think this one here props up, gives you extremely extremely high quality look there from the side. But skeletal quality and muscularity certainly in this one's favor, and that's a great combination.
A little bit about this one's pedigree. He's sired by the Pledge. I happened to be present at their live sale 2 weekends ago, and they had a lot of sheep out of this buck that did a lot of good. Brought a lot of revenue to the firm there in Zephyr. Just Cooper hit all the points that are needed about this one, but standing here, everyone's looking around like, wow, this one has ring presence and everything that one needs to hit the show ring.
You win Houston 6 years in a row.
Yeah, 6.
That's pretty impressive, and I think if you want to try at that one, this one here wouldn't be a bad one to start with. So certainly appreciate Kelly Harris Sheep for bringing this one out for Friday Night Fever.
The Pruitts are up next with Pruitt Livestock out of Abbott, Texas. I think just this far this year they have sold some certainly high dollar ones, and that's just backed by the success that they've had year over year here lately. Glad to have them here, Pruitt Livestock.
So when I talked to JD about coming to the Fever, he had told me that they had a weather that they thought about bringing, and he unfortunately knocked his shoulder in the pin and wasn't doing so hot. But JD's exact words to me is, I'm not coming half-cocked. So with that, he's like, I'm bringing my best ewe lamb that we've ever raised, and we don't want to sell her, but we know we're not coming to this sale half-loaded. So that says a lot coming from that firm and how their success in the ring is right now.
Well, I can tell you her sire is making waves, and he's certainly made waves in this industry. First rattle out of the box this year, and we're all really excited about the future there. And I would say that it would be a true testament to sell a making waves daughter, especially when they look like this one in front of you now. If you're looking for a show ewe, I would tell you this girl does it. She makes you a killer San Antonio show ewe or Oklahoma Youth Expo, wherever you might be. But I think at the end of the day, this one's true value here is probably in the breeding shed. You got a top-tier monkey business mama there, and those top-tier females have done an exceptional job. And it's no surprise to look at this one and see the foot and bone that she's got, added fuzz and flexibility. You study her from the side. She props up with a great silhouette, wedges right, the progression of width out of her backside of her shoulders, incredible. You can see the shape and the groove to her rack from here. I think this one here is really feminine but really muscular at the same time, and I think that's a great combination. Certainly appreciate it, and we appreciate them bringing this one for an offering, because I can assure you the way she's bred, that wouldn't be easy. Thank you, JD, for bringing this one to us. Exceptional female, exceptional breeding piece, though, at the end of the day. I don't see how this one here could be a bad buy in any way, any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, extremely nice one from Pruitt, and we're certainly thankful to have them here as we ramp up the sheep numbers here at Friday Night Fever. Next up, I believe, is going to be Neff.
They lost him on the way over.
Alan Newcomb.
Next up is Alan Newcomb, and I don't have to say much. That they need very little introduction in the sheep game and in the livestock game in general. We've got one of them sitting up here. I'll let him talk about his stock.
Well, to the surprise of a lot of people, this is the first weather that we've ever actually offered at a live sale, and not something that we typically do. We typically sit there at home and sell those weathers off the farm, but Kevin and Zach certainly put a little pressure on us to come down here, and it's always fun to come to San Angelo. We figured we had us a March born that whenever they started talking to us, we knew which sheep we were going to bring if we decided to do it, because this guy here would certainly get everybody's attention and get the crowd excited, I think, and I think he does that. We certainly believe in this one, believe in the way he's bred. This is a frog on a Griffin and on Sundown. If you're not familiar with Griffin, he was a buck lamb last year, so his mother would actually be a ewe lamb. But Griffin was a maternal sib to Gorilla, same mom that dropped the Mike ewe and out of hippogriff himself. So I think this one here, you can see the hippogriff shape coming out in this one. You can see the frog softness of flank and underlying quality with the added, foot and fuzz and got the big boots. But I think when you get up over the top of this one, you truly understand dimensional livestock, 3D, This one's shape and expression. His hip and hind leg are impeccable. I know we're really proud of this one. I'd be anxious to hear what Zach has to say about him, but we didn't come lightly, and as JD said, we weren't coming half-cocked either. So we do really like this one.
To follow on what Cooper said, this one here, you just look at him, you see the density of his muscle, the round ribs, the big back, big loin, big feature. This one has big show ring presence. I knew that when Cooper and Ty had agreed that they were going to come, that they were going to find a special one. And like Cooper said, this is the very first time they've offered one at a live auction, weather-wise, and I think they came ready to roll. Brought one of the elite ones run around Elk City.
Yeah, they're real kind of good, and you can hear the murmur in the background here, ringside or right here by the block where we're talking. This one's already got a lot of fans of the people that are here. I think this one will have even more fans as you move through the evening. Very, very good one. Next up is Newsome Livestock up there in the Panhandle. I think early on he brought a cross weather to maybe one of the first ones to go across the block at Friday Night Fever, and I'm pretty sure that one won a couple years back, and he brings us another one.
Houston this year.
Oh, this year.
So the champion cross of Houston this year.
Did you do that 2 years ago too?
No, last year.
Okay.
The most recent there also.
Newsome Livestock brings us one out of Chimera, and I think if you're not familiar with Chimera, that is a unicorn son that he bought from Ty and I last year, and I think that one there is true testament to the kind of shape and muscularity this thing's got. You can see him from the side, the height of shoulder that one's got, is real. I mean, that one there is big time from the side, and whenever you look at that one, he's pinned right beside us back there, and I just leaned over the fence, and that thing's shape is incredible. And to be that smooth and that big in his loin edges and square, it's really, really impressive. This one here, loosen the pin, certainly get your attention. He's not just that tall-shouldered set up. He's going to be that tall-shouldered walking around, flat back, really, really flexible. I think he's got the right kind of muscularity. And Logan knows what kind it takes to bring to Friday Night Fever, because last year he decided to ante up and brought one down here that sold really well. But at the end of the day, he won Houston too. And it paid off for all parties, and that's why Logan decided he was going to ante up again and bring another one down here that he thinks is as equal or better quality, and I would agree with him. This thing here does a lot of the right things. For a cross to be this kind of skeletal quality is exceptional, and I think this one here's future is bright. He feeds extremely, extremely good to me. Zach?
To feed off what Cooper said, last year that one of Logan's had a lot of friends, and I know after the sale, a lot of people called and talked to me and asked me, well, how is that one of Logan's? And I said that one has a potential to run with the Blacks at a big show, maybe hanging a banner. And at Houston, he won the crosses in my mind by a landslide. I mean, between that thing's presence and shape and muscle, like Cooper talked about, and skeletal quality, it's hard to beat. It's real hard to beat. And I think this one here this year has everything the one last year had, with even a little bit extras in every aspect.
Never hurts whenever they come out of one of those good Smithwick U's either, and that's another testament to the kind of look and the show ring look, and no surprise at the kind of banners they receive from them as well. So certainly appreciate Newsome Livestock and bringing this one here for round 2 this year. See if we can't do it again, Logan.
Was that one just wants to be a show sheep, just got a cocky attitude, ears forward, jawline up. That one wants to be a show sheep, and it's certainly that. Thank you to Logan for bringing that one. We're going to get back in to the goats, and we're going to fire off our next goat portion with Evans Livestock.
Well, as we're kind of getting shuffled and they're bringing some goats up over there, getting racked up, here's what I'm going to tell you guys, and for those of you that are watching online and the guys here sitting with me, first half of this preview's been really, really good. The stock's been good. The genetics behind them gives you, I think, confidence as a buyer and how those things are going to feed. And then we got to them sheep, And what I think we just did with the quality of the sheep that we ran across the ring is we set the tone for the second half of this goat preview. So if you are in bad service and you're watching on your phone or your iPad, I would recommend pulling over on top of a hill. If you're in the barn here and you want to kind of see, we're fixing to turn the fire up a little bit on the heat of the Friday Night Fever with this second round of goats. And our next consignor in here is Evans Livestock. I'll make one comment about this one. Well, first about the family. With us moving back to Stephenville, I drive by their gate every day, and Brandon probably gets tired of me stopping and visiting and looking at stuff, but I really enjoy the trips. I've got a familiar view, or Blaze does, of this one's ass, okay? And I say that lightly because the full brother of this one's the one that beat us at Houston, and Blaze was looking this way at him the whole night in the champion drive. So full brother of this one wins champion Division II at Houston, the one that again beat us, and really proud to have this weather here.
Well, as we get him up here, P. Diddy sired, P67 on the bottom side. I agree with how that one build design. That one is a spitting image of that one that wins D2 in Houston, except for the fact that I do believe he is better right there behind his blade. That one's better. Hey, that thing was standing up looking like a man right there in the back, just all by himself.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment here. I've seen this thing now 4 times, today being the 4th time, but the 3 times we've seen him at the house, Brandon and I have discussed his showmanship or lack of, and thought he was the one that had to come. He is not very smart, for those of you here watching on camera. That's going to take a little work, but the quality, this is the one that needed to come. We just got to get him broke.
I don't know if he's not very smart or he's extremely intelligent, is what I'm going to guess. I saw him standing in the back, and she just let go of him, and he stood there like a statue and looked impeccable. And so I think he's pretty brainy myself. He's got a way of outfoxing the fox right now. I will tell you that one is cracked open, shallow, extra round. He is almost a spitting image, in my opinion, a little better in terms of his hock and back feet, and certainly better right behind his blade, but everything else reads true to that D2 champ that's a full mate that they had in Houston this time. Great one there that comes up to us from Evans Livestock. They brought the best right out here for us to look at.
And I'm going to tell you, for those of you watching online and those of you that are here, that's good, Mac. You can go and switch ponies there. That is going to be one of the best loin-edged ones that we sell tonight, Glenn. I don't know if you've got a chance to handle him yet, but when you handle that thing's edge, it's like the edge of this table. I mean, it is absolutely square, massively wide, and sharp.
I don't know if we said that one's number, but that was 0090A that we just had up here, the dark-headed one offered by Evans Livestock. They bring us a yellow-headed one or yellow-necked one, bicolor, tricolor deal that comes next. Boy, that one, unique pedigree. As I sit here and look at that sire, that's out of Bounds' iconic buck there, Bounds and PBG buck that is making his mark in a very short period of time as a stud buck. Willie on the bottom side here of that pedigree. Big time here, and I think the kind that can make the big time stage there in the end. This one has an extremely stout, round, big cage in him. He still runs uphill. He's elevated. You can see his ditch from 20 feet here setting level with him. That one's got a lot of upside here.
Well, as Mac takes that one off the table, a firm that wins banners, that their family wins banners, which adds to the value buying from them because they're going to be able to help you. And then just the sheer number of them that make the sale at Houston and San Antonio that come from Evans Livestock might rival any firm in the business. And so, man, those two, though, them are better than cell makers, I'm going to tell you. Up next, we got Falkensteins. They're from Kansas, one that sells at all of our events, and just awesome people. Agricultural-based family that does it as a family, hence the name of their business, Falkenstein Family Show Goats. A tour highlight, not only from that, but the cattle, the farming, the quality of the goats. They've been a product of what we try to do, from Friday Night Fever, Friday Night Fiesta, the Symposium. The core group of breeders, I would say, that make up those events is what their genetics are based around. Luke's judging there at Tech. JC's having a successful career showing, and they have brought us a very, very good set of livestock here. What do you have there? I can't see that far. 31? Okay. This is the boats.
All right. They bring
on
us
Brett.
131. That's to carry the boats on Brett. That's Keep the Faith Sister there, and just an outstanding one as you get on the side and look at that one. One that's elevated up front in his chest floor. He's long-necked. He's good-barreled. That one's got a tremendous amount of shape and width and squareness, and as big a fur as I think we've seen on anything but that black sheep a while ago that Glasscock brought us. That one's got the big fuzz there on his legs and has all the parts and pieces to look legit there at the end of the road when you want to haul that one to the big stage.
So Brett, the inaugural exclusive, we sold the first Keep the Faith sister there. They buy her for 20-some-odd thousand. Okay, first flush that they did to her made a couple of Midwestern State Fair banner winners. Second flush makes the one that we sell at Midwest Fever for $64,000 to Hummel's Buck Kid. It was the second flush, and so this is the third round of that. And that doe has flat worked. The daughters out of her look good, and I'm just telling you that from a standpoint, not necessarily for promotion of our stuff, but you can buy this thing and feel confident the way they're going to feed, because she has worked.
Well,
some of them generate, as y'all know, and some of them don't. And that one's working.
This one's mom is a generator, and it's good to note. Rich looks at all those babies there at the house, and he's been intimately involved with those. And of all of those, down by that particular doe, that weather right there is his favorite that she has had. So that's saying something about the quality of that 131 that we just had up here.
Yeah, Tag 40 is up next, and I think the quality of this group just continues its trajectory here, and absolutely elite looking one that Falkenstein brings to us.
Well, the one we bring up here is 23-140. So for your notes, 140 is the last three digits of that ear tag.
Here, I'm gonna make it better for you.
He is sired by Downpour, and Downpour is a revolutionary.
Downpour is the revolutionary, which is the dim and light sun, back on Brett.
Okay.
So we got that doe again, and then back on an unfinished business, which is a tag 666. Brett's grandma would be 666. So we're getting a lot of good stuff here on the female side of progressing this thing forward to the end.
Well, lining that 666 doe up in the bottom of that pedigree, and then here on the top side of that pedigree, certainly has helped make a consistent player in this one. Tag number 140, Downpour on top. That was their keeper Buck Kid from last year that they kept in house and have used extensively this round. That one's mom is an unfinished business doe that was a yearling purchase there from Macon. That is an awful good one as you get on the side here. She's got him propped up, and he looks incredible from the side and a 3/4, dense in terms of his build, burly in terms of his feet and legs, awesome in terms of his body and cage. A little longer bodied one that's just a little longer spined, if you will, and yet still balances in proportion so good right out the back of his blade. Extra strong and shapely here.
Yeah, this particular, y'all go ahead, guys, and bring the next one up. I will say this flush might have been the deepest flush I saw. I don't know if I looked at 2,000 goats that week. I've been about 5,000 miles in the last 2 weeks looking at these things, and that's what's so neat to get to see most everything that comes through the ring here, 80 or 90% of them anyway. But I will say that that was maybe the deepest flush that we've seen. I think this is a flush mate here.
It is.
Again.
It's a brother to the last one. So this is 125, brother to the last one, which was 140. This is the red-legged one here, one that's a bit smaller in terms of his overall dimension, just as you read him from the side. A little more moderate in terms of his outline, his framework, and maturity pattern. One that reads so true in terms of his build, his look from the side, and his proportion. Maybe shows us even a touch more muscle shape and striation as you read him in the outside curvature of his leg. Read him there from his stifle back above his hock, and that one is extra shapely, run uphill. Balance is good from the side. Ultra high quality, comes from the best flush Kevin saw, just from a consistency standpoint here on his Friday Night Fever tour. They bring us a pair of brothers there, 125 here on the stand, red-legged one, awful good. Moderate, I'd say middle to light heavyweight here at the end of his time frame.
Next up will be the last offering here from Falkenstein's, and again, our view, the way that the line is forming, you see this one just naturally cocky and see just how genuinely wide and stout that one is coming right at you. You can probably tell that there in the video, one that's got tons of just natural skeletal width and dimension.
134, the one that they bring up next, yellow-headed one here as well, and this is a keep the faith on Not Tonight. This is the first flush out of the doe they buy at the Fiesta last year in 22. That one is incredible in terms of cage. I can tell you he is burly. You get over the top of that one. Awesome in terms of the cylindrical shape. You see it as blade. Very, very, very dense in terms of his shape up high. Lots of side shape in that one. A little more moderate in terms of his length of body. And yet proportions so well from the side. One I think again is just extremely dense from a muscularity standpoint. Big fur on all of those that they bring to you here. A great set that they brought. Absolutely my favorite set that they've ever had here at the Fever.
Well, thanks, guys. And it looks, as I look to my right here, see Jamie over there. It looks like the Bahama Bucks trailer set up. So if you're in the room or if you're on the way, we do every year. It's kind of a fun deal, and the adults and kids alike seem to like it. But we do have a complimentary Bahama Bucks set up outside, so go help yourself to that. There's a clear bottle back behind me, Jamie, that I heard made a good topping to those things too. But I think this is Maverick up next. Is that right?
And it looks like Jamie got a large.
You know, I'm going to say something here. This firm's been selling with us now, Brian, for 3 years, right? Okay, from Montana. They're another, as we talked about, Falkenstein's. I'm going to call them a product of the program, Glenn.
Absolutely.
They're bought in at every level, from selling with us to investing at Fiesta or the Symposium to privately investing with what I would call our core group of breeders. And, man, it's showing. They don't sell the highest dollar ones that we sell here, and they're on their way up to that. But they did sell a Division II winner in the third round. Division II champion at San Antonio last year sold in the third round at Friday Night Fever last year.
That's right.
So, man, you better pay attention because these things are dense, they're stout, they're big caged. They have had a 1,300-mile trip yesterday to get down here and still look like this. And really, really, really proud of this set Brian brought.
Well, when you talk about that weather that wins D2 last year and pretty much dominated that one, that division just in terms of cage, power up high, pin set, and still in a unique enough looking package. This happens to be a 172 and a full mate, full sib to that weather that wins D2 in San Antonio a year ago. So he's bringing his best here to us. I can tell you I've made the trip a couple times up this year to look, talk about genetics. Brian's a friend, been a customer of ours for several years, and he has an outstanding set of them. And he brings one here that he dearly loves, and frankly, I don't know why you wouldn't. That one is wide, that one is dense, that one is stout. He has been hauled a long ways, and that thing is shaped up like none other. Got a tremendous amount of density and presence here. One, I think you can just feel so confident taking him. You know you're buying a genetic package that's going to feed true and consistent for you. And certainly here he's brought a stout one, one that looks good from the side. 172 here from Maverick Show Goats.
Yeah, and that pedigree, that Rico Yellowstone, I think that's something that Brian will get a grin on his face about when you bring up, because it's done them right. It's something that he certainly believes in and has proven to be successful.
It's no speaking to that last goat there. It's no secret. We're gonna conduct some pretty high level business here tonight. Some of these things are gonna bring some money, and man, what a better investment than to buy one that's got a proven pedigree like that. That's his brother last year won a division to San Antonio. So this white one's good. You get on top of this thing, there's a lot of goat there.
Yeah, when I was up there last trip and made it around, and we went through one of the pens or pastures out there where those things were running and moving around. This one was a standout to me out of that particular group, that particular set. He's 2169. That would be the first no other sired wether offered to the public. He is by a cash-in daughter that Brian has, and I can tell you from the folks that have bought into cash-in for the last 5-6 years, those females are incredible in terms of how they generate and how they produce for this guys. This is a younger one. He's not cooperating as well, and I can tell you certainly you get that one out and get him kicked out of the pen and back and let him walk around. His presence is just outstanding. He is long-bodied. He is really round in terms of his cage, tubular, if you will, and shapely up high. Once again, made the trip. And you can see in these goats that have made that kind of distance, they're a little skin stressed, but you go pinch you just a little bit up, you'll realize how good hided, how good touching those are. That's another outstanding one he's brought to us. No other over cash-in, and one that was certainly a standout to me as I went up and looked through this particular set and age group.
Again, that's 2169 there from Maverick Show Goats. We'll bring out the last in their trio, another one that reads Rico Yellowstone. Like we mentioned earlier, that pedigree just continues to work for that Maverick group.
Really level designed one here, and a little wilder looking and more elevated up front. Reads to me to be a bit maybe closer to the big heavies. His tag number's 171. Rico Yellowstone again is the pedigree. That one is really cocky, running around. He's a little greener, a little thinner and skinnier, if you will. And frankly, I think it lends himself to you having a good buying experience and a great feeding experience here to take one home out of the fever. That one's got all the look, got the bells and whistles. One that needs to go home, one that needs to just go back on feet, stouten up. That one can go big and certainly be competitive as we go down the road. Good one there as well. That's 171, a Rico Yellowstone that Maverick brings us. Really nice set, Brian. Really nice set, and I think they've hauled exceptionally well to have been pulled 1,300 miles.
93, 43, 62. Oh, let's just submit them. Well, Wentz up next here from Nebraska, and man, I honestly don't know when I say this is why I'm going to say it, but it would have been between Wentz and Blue Teams on who had the most major show champions last year across the country, and it was a bunch. But they brought us a really good set of feedable, stout, sound, big caged, heavy muscled, big shaggy ones from Nebraska. Really, really proud of this group. It's 43, Alyssa? 93?
93,
okay.
right here.
And, man, I'm going to tell you to get in here and pay attention and spend some time with this family. Check these things out. A lot of upside, a lot of feedability right here.
Well, this is one he got in big there on that buck last year from Cade, Poke the Bear. This is a Poke the Bear son, 693, that they bring to us there from the Wentz farm. Alyssa up there on the front, and kids running around, and one of them, I guess, being carried, which is a chore. That thing is a chunk. Poke the Bear Cocoa Dust Buttons. I can speak to the buttons bottom side of that pedigree. That was a buck that my kids actually bred about 10 years ago and make some incredibly good females there at Wentz Farm. And boy, they do bring one here. One that is not the biggest that we've looked at, probably works to his advantage here. Moderate sized, furry legged, big footed, one that's extremely shapely up high, one that blends back big and smooth to his loin edge and hip. Just a lot of quality, moderate sized outline, and one that has the right look there, the right fur, the right shag, coming from the Wentz Farm there out of Nebraska.
Well, I know Judd, rightfully so, was really high on these things, talking to him last week, and I think you were up there last week. I know Cade's been up there, but, man, these things are nice. I looked at them back in the pen earlier, and they're really impressive. What's is that 47 there? Man, my eyes are terrible. 43. See, I thought I was close. There we go. Another Poke the Bear Jade doe here. Have a lot of that same genetics back in the back of that thing. The bears at Cade's had big pieces, and we're going to see some of those here in a minute again, but rightfully so with the momentum that sire and heir to the bear and that group has put together there. I think really a nice one here, Glenn.
Well, big feet and fur and really good back leg posture in terms of hock and ankle set. Stood over that one just in the back, hadn't touched him yet, but that one's incredible in terms of pin set, round in his neck, big in his cage, proportions good from the side. Good stock there, Poke the Bear son, and one that we think there'll be high hopes for as that one goes down the road. Looks a little more moderate in terms of his cannon bone and framework. Think one that might end up somewhere around those middles as they go. That bone's going to weigh a lot and that muscle's going to weigh a lot, but that package is sure moderate. That's the red and white-eared one. His number is 743. Poke the Bear over Jade doe that he got from us.
Well, I will give some stats to those of you listening here. We're an hour and 16, 17 minutes into this preview. We have averaged 220 viewers with a top of 335 viewers so far. I think we're over 500 or 600 individual IP addresses. So, man, we're getting a lot of preview here. For those of you that are watching online as we get this one rolling and cooperative, go ahead and get logged on to cci.live. This whole event, as is with all of our events, the virtual platform experience is managed by Kennedy Ventures in partnership with CCI. So we will have full online bidding capabilities this evening through CCI, and get with us to help coordinate delivery on those things.
Well, this one that comes up next, this is 762. 762 come from Wentz. That is a Make It Rain, another buck made out there at Cade's out of a doe that you could see at our house. One that is extremely, you did see her last week. That is one that's wide and burly and feminine all at the same time. Love that buck and what he's done there at Judge. This is a Make It Rain. Bottom side of this one's pedigree is really old school and extremely unique. That's a Mudcat doe there that was bred at the turkey farm, and Mudcat would also be the sire or the mom of Hidden Treasure there that Bryce and Peyton own. Love the pedigree in this one for feedability, for function, and for stoutness and density. You get over that one, get in front, get in back. That one is dense. Big grooves, big muscles, big loin, big hip, one that's extra wide, very dense and burly. Still proportions good from the side. Maybe has a bump of shoulder up there, but one that has enough caboose to go with it. That one gets chubby and smooth. That one's going to look awful good here. Like that one quite a bit. Love his pedigree. That is 762 Make It Rain Mudcat from Wentz Show Goats. Is that 02? 702? All right, 702. 702 from Wentz. That is another Poke the Bear. You can tell he didn't just like him when he bought him. He liked him when he bred him. Good stock here coming from Wentz. Kind of a white capped up top, kind of a white-eared one. Poke the Bear over a Heartland Gator. Awful good pedigree once again, improving genetics on the bottom side. Interesting to note, Judd's taking, and Judd and Alyssa, their family's taking a different approach to making these as a lot of us had. These are naturals. They want every female on the place to be donor quality. They flushed thousands of thousands. Naturally mated thousands of cows for years. Have played that game as successfully as any family ever has, and doing the same thing here from the goat side. One that comes to us a little shorter backed and really long hipped. Once again, good leg posture as you read his hock to pasturing. Big fur on that one, big feet on that one in feature. One that's chubby and smooth, blade back, just lots of punch, lots of power there. Awesome pedigree as well. Another Poke the Bear son that come from Wentz 702.
When we get done with your Bahama Bucks, I believe the refreshments and bar service is open over here on the west end of the building behind the D&D and Show Right tents, and you can go ahead and help yourself just from refreshment. Boy, this one does have a good silhouette right here.
Good silhouette, and he should.
Level back, good underlined.
That one's going to be wide. That one's going to be stout and big cage as long as you want to run him. That is a Make It Rain, number 694. Make It Rain Mini Heat. Sold some Mini Heat semen there at the exchange a couple weeks ago. Some of the old school stuff, a heat wave deal that we made there at the turkey farm. Incredible females. Judd has the largest grouping of those in history. Still making them really good, and this one just looks awesome from the side. Tall shouldered, run uphill, flat backed, and one that's once again sound in his build, shallow in his chest, big in his cage, and big in the top side of his skeleton. That's a round neck one, proportions good, and one that has a lot of feedability. That one is extra wide and extra dense. That would be 694. Make It Rain Mini Heat, the last one we're looking at there in our preview from Wentz Show Goats. Thank you, Judd and Alyssa, for bringing such a good set.
Balance, what number are you bringing us?
What number is this one?
99?
2399.
This one's from Bernie and Bounds. I think Cooper has been involved for a couple years now. I think a name that needs as little introduction as anybody across the entire United States, synonymous with winning these shows, synonymous with making them that are good enough to win, and he's certainly not let us down here.
Got a Daddy Issues, the buck that Coop and PBG own there from Kempkers out of a Fuzzy Handcuffs, Deepwater. And, man, you can see the muscle from here, the expression, the upfrontedness, and, man, this guy knows how to get it done.
Well, just a really good one in terms of silhouette, skin, and shape here comes to us from Bernie and Coop. One that you just like in terms of his cage, in terms of his build, natural width, presence. He's got that incredible skin, that extra thin skin, that good touch, and one that's really, really shapely. One that needs to be worked in terms of hair and leg hair. He's got all the base there. He's obviously shucked, which a lot of these have, and they probably should this time of year if you want them to do what they need to do come fall. But that is an awful good one in terms of cage, skin, touch, natural width, look, and presence from the side. Nice one there. Daddy Issues back over Fuzzy, Deepwater. Good stock there from Bernie and Cooper.
So I'll make a note here that this is an iconic, the buck that they're working with there, and I saw lots of good iconics on my trip too. I mean, that buck makes big pieces, and I know they're using him very, very hard. And this mama was a 551 Schaefer Yellowstone doe that they bought at Fiesta last year. This would be a flush mate to their $18,000. The highest selling female we sold Monday on the Friday Night Females. Again, their mama was one that sold at the Fiesta, now the Symposium.
We'll talk about one that I think will really feed, one that'll get there, and one you'll be proud of. I'm going to start talking right there at the ground, which some of us don't look at much, but if you're a guy like me and like stock built that way, you got to love the feet and the paws on that one. We can throw the fact out that he is extra furry and shaggy, but that one is ridiculous in terms of the size of his feet and the size of his bone work. That thing's got Clydesdale feet and bell bottoms on him. You have to love that, just getting at the surface, and that's so critical and important that we have that today. Then you get around this one, and I saw this one walk to me just a minute ago. That one is opened up and pulled apart in his chest as any of them that we'll see here tonight. That one's got the right kind of cage, the right kind of build, the right kind of look and shape to go the distance. I think that is an absolute big timer in terms of how he's assembled and organized. Awesome, iconic baby there out of the buck. I got to see as a real young one there up at Cooper's just outside Western, and that one impressed me so much. I told the crew there at Pfeiffer's, you got to breed him, and several other people, and hey, that thing is leaving his mark in a short period of time. Lots of good iconics here today, and that's a special one here that Cooper brings to us.
Well, Coach brings us another daddy issues, and this one, how you like that? This one, I saw daddy, obviously a couple times, little, and this one has the kind of cage and body and probably proportions and size that daddy issues had. You know, just being moderate and like a best man show bearer, bodied, you know, extremely wide, extremely open from the ground up, and just big at the base of his neck, and carries that width all the way back to his hip. I know I'm kind of getting into your realm here of talking phenotype, but you know that's kind of what Daddy looked like, you know, at that same size.
Well, 0182 Daddy over Pony Wingman. Anybody that's followed Cooper's game, if you don't understand the significance of the Pony Wingman on the bottom side of a pedigree, he believes in it, and so do lots of judges. We'll just put it that way. That one is wide, dense, burly, smooth, good skinned, stout. One that, as Austin said earlier, you could take that one out, leg him up just a minute, and roll him in a week or two and feel very comfortable. You're going to have a shot at beating their eyes out. That one's got the right kind of cage, the right kind of width, the right kind of density at the surface, big fur, big shape, big muscles. One that I think you could go the distance, and you could show him next weekend as well. High quality stock there. Daddy issues, he's tag 0182 from Cooper.
Well, I'm going to pick on this next consigner here because Ryan, he put a Facebook post. No. How many was that? Hold on, I'll make sure. I got it. Hey, Coop, come back real quick. Come find me, Coop, when you get those put up. I'm going to pick on Ryan here because his Facebook post yesterday or a day before said that in the last 2 years they've sold 5 wethers at Friday Night Fever and have had 3 major show banners, right? But what he left out is, in 2 years, they've combined 7 wethers between Friday Night Fever, Midwest Fever, and Friday Night Fever again, and have had 5 major show banners. So I think they're winning the average. That's the best batting average I know of, at least. And what I will tell you, of those previous 7 wethers that we've sold with them over the past 2 years, 5 of which have won major show banners, they have not brought a trio like this to us at any of the events. Not even close. And these are very, very good.
Ryan, is that 73 up there? Okay, 373. Dropper Livestock, Gerald and his wife, and Ryan and Carrie and the boys there bring us one, a one and only. The buck we actually bought into with them from Hoffman Livestock there a couple of years ago, and those things have fed like some kind of special. And here he's got, frankly, his favorite of the pile, and the one that I think he really regrets maybe taking the seeds out of. But that one is built so good, was up there, went through the stock and looked at them. This was one that I dearly love just from a build and balance perspective. He is stout at the surface. He's wide. He's wild looking. He's incredible in terms of his cage. And then get over the top of him. That thing is square backed, good loin, big pin, one that is round necked and doesn't disappoint you. He's being a little bit of a jack here on the table, but that's understandable. He made him 1,100-mile trip as well yesterday. Awful good one here he brings to us. The family brings just an incredible piece of livestock, and if you like good stock, you will like 373. Yeah, that thing is awful good. We'll get him off, and we'll get another one up. 395. That's 395. That's Brock's buddy, as they call him. One and only ultra trailer trash. This one is freakishly wide, next level in terms of his cage, his cylindrical shape and pin set. That thing is bunchy and punchy and still balances up with what we want to see in terms of top line, underline. I think just an incredible specimen here that they bring us. We call him Brock's buddy, going to be number 395.
You know, there's a family that between the two brothers and the dads judging more shows than they're not right now, and I think where this one's good, it's important to those guys. And then the next thing I'm going to tell you is if you go back there and handle this one, this is the biggest backed one in the barn. As far as width and depth of loin, it's massive. I don't know that I've felt one in a long time that's loin was that deep and still that square and crisp on his edges, real cracked open, has some really neat pieces to it.
Very seamless in terms of how he blends blade back. Unique to note, his mom is actually a flush mate to the 21 grand at the Arkansas Youth Expo. So powers in the pedigree there. The one and onlys have fed exceptionally well. 7 big banners at big shows in the last 3 fevers, 2 here in the Midwest Fever. Outstanding stock brought to you by Crawford Livestock and the Mortweet family. This will be number 397. This is their last final entry that we have to look at here. The trio they brought us, one and only ultra trailer trash again. One that really, I love this one walking around in the pen when I was there 10 days, 2 weeks ago, Kevin. That one is good in terms of his neck. That one is really good in terms of his shape. I think lots of feedability in the stock here. Love his width, love his flexibility. If you know anything about those families and those folks there, they want them to be flexible and functional. They want them to be practical in how they raise them. Outstanding in terms of look and build, and we have another one here that they bring to us, one that's a little, maybe even more leveler design than the pair that came in front. Awful good stock here.
What you were saying about phenotype there, you know, in my mind, whether it be goats or sheep, this is what I think when I think of Crawford Livestock. Okay, they're level, they're sound, they're good looking, they are high quality, good shoulder, neck comes out where it's supposed to. Good, bulletproof, just awesome stock right there. And that's why, okay, they haven't had the 7 highest sellers over 2 years. They've sold well, but they haven't had the 7 highest sellers we've ever sold. But the reason they've won 5 major show banners out of 7 head is because they're not fouled up. They're good livestock with plenty of punch. They look like that. Really good set. Thanks, Ryan, and your crew for bringing them things.
Awesome trio there from Crawford.
A top 3 tour highlight here comes from Jade, and I'm going to tell you that includes this goat, as well as one of the coolest things I got to do was spend some time with Glenn driving the pasture and talking about the lineage of family history between Rayanne's family and your family, growing up there in Mason County and going up there to the top of the hill and seeing the old Zesh homestead, and just imagining, I mean, I still think about it. I was last night, you know, of literally the 1,000 things that's on my mind today. That was one that crossed my mind of just how tough those people were. This goat's tough. You start him at the ground at that green carpet, and this is absolutely one of the best ones we're going to sell tonight. Very, very good. I'll let you talk about your own stock. This one's way high up on my list. We fed one from you guys last year. Was reserve D2 at Houston. Hey, the one that beat him of Evans was really good too. We saw an awesome brother that one earlier, and really proud to have this thing. here. This is a very, very good goat.
Well, this is tag 3051 here from Jade and Bowers. This is a Harlem handshake back on a radar doe, Bob Allen deal, and one that we're pretty proud of. Frankly, we love the guy. We love his flexibility, his look, his spread. We love his feet and legs and his fur, his balance and proportion. We're very high on this one. He's the kind that makes stud bucks but makes winning wethers. We can't say enough about him just in terms of quality, and he comes right out of the heart of our game, and we just got lots of faith in this one being big time somewhere down the road.
So talking pedigree there, his mom's a radar, and so which Anchor Tat's mom would be a radar, correct?
Right.
So, man, those things are going to be fuzzy and have that kind of wild look and shape up high. I like that thing. Another one we looked at there at the house, Tripod 81. You'll have to tell us a little bit of what the Tripod genetics are. I know what it is. Some of the crowd listening may not. But a little more moderate deal, I think, with just a lot of versatility in where you can go and what you can do with this one.
Well, this is 3055 Tripod 81. Tripod was a buck that Kate Hoffman raised, is a buck that Kate Hoffman raised. He was in the same buck set with Fuzzy and Harlem and One and Only, and got hooked as a baby by one of those recip does and was Kate's favorite the whole way along. He's packed a leg ever since, and not just packed a leg but packed a punch in terms of how he's built and how he is generated. We made it one of our Holscher dog-eat-dog sibs to an 81 doe back, and this one is extremely wild-necked, very, very good on the move. He has been a complete jackass here on the camera. Get him back out, let him roll around. That one's big pinned, big groovy backed, wild-looking, one that we think you can feed hard, one that we think has big-time presence on a big-time stage as you get down the road. Awful good one here that we brought you as well.
A pair of them from Jade Livestock, I think, hit a lot of endpoints, hit different guys. They're going to stand in front of different types, different kinds. One thing in common, certainly high quality. Mock Livestock is up next, bringing a handful of them. Again, they've got these things just posed up and propped up on the side. You get them here up on the stand. They sure don't let you down. I mean, I think a few that have far outreaching pieces, still complete, still solid, tons of future here.
So this is, I'll talk about the pedigrees. I know them. This is 23006. This will be our leadoff goat. He's sired by I Am Legend. We bought a jump from Jamie and crew out of Legend there last fall and flushed him to a couple of our better donors. A couple of them didn't work. We actually had one doe that worked really well, made a lot of embryos, and happened to be our best one, 2007, mother of y'all's Denver goat that sold here last year. So this would be a flush mate to the $200,000 I Am the Way that Kempker and KM Sires bought from us. I Am Legend out of 2007. She's the tag 666 there at the house. It's a flush mate sister to Unfinished Business. We sold her first babies last year, one flush and her naturals, and that was the Grand at Denver, the Reserve Grand at Kansas City, the 4th overall Exarban, and the Reserve Division 3 at the Dixie National. I think there was 12 or 13 Texas jackpot winners and a couple of those that placed at Texas Majors. Maturity pattern-wise, the Legends, you know, I'm spending a lot of time at Jamie's also, and the Legends look really good. I can tell you from a 2007 standpoint, it looks like this is the maturity pattern. They got to have same kind of outline as y'all's weather last year, older package of Kenna's weather that showed at Kansas City. I'm going to tell you, I think this is the best one we've ever raised from a weather standpoint. I've said that before, but we continue to progress those things and really high on those brothers.
Well, I tell you, as you prop that one up, that one just looks like the winner in terms of his lines, in terms of his cage, in terms of his elevation, big bubbly muscles, and a really long hip to go with it. Hard to get in terms of combinations there out of the record-selling I Am Legend there at Blue Team. Flushmate brother to I Am the Way. I just looked at some pictures of that one there in my KM Sires catalog. This one just looks the part. Big feet, big fur, big feature, ridiculous in terms of elevation and cage, long spine and proportions awesome. Note he's had a naval abscess. Dr. Crossland, Lamar Crossland, has been the guy in charge on that. He is selling as is with a known persisting minor issue there in terms of his navel. Mock Livestock will pay for any repair procedure if it's needed in the future. May not be needed. That's just a time will tell game. He does sell as is, and if he looks like that, that's a good as is purchase right there.
This is Big Head, we call him. Cindy, 23024. The biggest cranial that I think we ever winched out of one of them little yearling Spaniards from y'all. I will say one thing. We've been buying our recips from Bryce, and I don't know if he wants everybody to call and say, I want recips. Probably going to get in trouble for saying this. But those little bitty things milk good, and you can get big babies out of them. This is 23024. A Cinderella Man, which is the Keep the Faith son we've got there at KM Sires, owned with the Hoffman Brothers. His mom is the 906 Holscher donor. We bought at the Fiesta 2020, right? Would be a sister to 81.
Yep.
Or a sister to dog.
Sister to dog.
Sister to dog. She'd be the grandmother to Fear Not, the buck kid y'all bought last year. This is the best one that she has made. We sold one of those. We had a couple of those things get a little big. We sell one at the Texas Republic thing a couple weeks ago as our leadoff, brings like 10.5. We cut this one late. It didn't hurt him none because his cage is so good, but we did cut him late, and it took a lot of trying, a lot of talking and discussing to cut this thing, and just quite frankly, I think you've got to cut those if you're going to win weather shows.
Well, we've seen bigger fur and bigger shag down low, but I don't know that we've seen one necessarily bigger cage, denser in his forerib, bigger in his center, burlier in terms of shape than this one. And all that comes in a really cool package. Great rib, great underline, one that's level and long in terms of his hip, one that proportions so good from the side, maybe a little more moderate in terms of framework, but extra dense in terms of his cage. That one's got an incredible amount of punch, natural width, and squareness to him. You got to like that one if you like good stock. Looks awesome from the side and still has all the bells and whistles to get up there and hunt at the front end.
Those Cindy's were very, very well received early. The first round of those things sold this February, March. I don't know what those things average at Midwest Fever. The Cinderella Man's north of 30,000. Hey, here's this anchor tat I was telling you about. Those Cindy.
How about that fur?
Those Cindy's average north of 30,000. Blaze has one on feed from Kempker's. You're going to see a full brother to Cindy here in a minute that's going to sell from the Kempker firm, but those things have been feeding well. This is Biggs. So last year at the Fiesta Symposium, we sold pick of our keeper doe kids. Come pick the keeper pin. Biggs buys it for $17.5. We do a lot of investing with Biggs. The boys own sows with Biggs. So it's kind of trading favors from time to time. But Biggs buys a pick of our doe kids. He just calls me and says, hey, you pick her and you keep her. So we went out there and picked one that was a first base out of Keep the Faith's mother. And when we was fortunate to negotiate the deal with Anchor Tat with you guys, that was a logical choice. As lucky as Biggs is, he makes one embryo and it settles, and this is what he gets. So sometimes you better be lucky than good. This one is intact, and he sells with the double down buck option. One of the wilder ones I think we've ever raised.
Yeah, that would be an incredible option there. Just as I was reading down here through the footnotes on this guy, first of all, that's ridiculous in terms of hair, in terms of stoutness of skeleton and width. That one is flat wild looking and extra wide, crazy in terms of his shag and his bone. I commented on the last one. Well, this one is just ridiculous in terms of his fur. Comes with the the option there to double down and keep him intact, that is certainly an option that many of us sitting around probably need to consider. I'm going to say it's the first intact anchor tat that's been offered. You can see him in KM Sires as well catalog. That's the Popeye son from Bob Allen, but that one is this thing's just incredible looking. He's 8 weeks old. He's been day weaned for approximately 2 weeks. He does not like the day weaning. You can look at his flank and tell he argues with the feed pan a little bit. So Kevin's made the option and offer. The buyer can purchase the reset mom for $375, and I can tell you that is a cheap purchase for a reset doe, but certainly for the mom that's nursing this one. She's here on the trailer. If you want that one, you need to probably, in my opinion, buy that reset to go with him. That's an awesome piece of livestock there coming from Mock Livestock.
Huh. Well, this is wrong. We got to avoid this. No, I messed up. So this is a late entry here. This is 23018, right, boys? So this would be a keep the faith out of the blue team doe, the yearling donor that we bought last year from Jamie and his crew online. We had a couple of them things that didn't take the trip very well. We swapped gears here last minute, so our paper's wrong. So this would be, we had a couple of those embryos we put in from the ones that we sold at the Midwest Fever. So keep the faith, shake and bake, Rip's mother. Be a sib to keep it real, the buck you saw there at More Tweets last week. He hates life also, just to make it clear, and he's not a very enjoyable animal to be around from his personality, but he is a good animal. So keep the faith on the blue team donor.
Well, that one from the 3/4, boy, that thing reads as bulgy and shapely there in his outside leg as I think any we've had up here, just about. Really good in terms of his spine and top line, long spine, good in his forerib, good in his elevation. Got the right kind of set in his knee, which is something that's pretty unique in our industry today. That one sets his knee right back under him where it needs to be. Great hock and feet placement and back. One that I think has tons of upside. Pedigreed to be as good as any. And certainly here he doesn't like the table, and that's fine. There'll be a lot of judges like how he does it here in a month or two.
That's the last one from Mock Livestock, a very, very deep and extremely elite set from Kevin and family. Next up is Morgan Livestock, Alan Morgan. I think he's only bringing one. Is that right? And just from the looks of it, I think that's – huh?
I said in my preview it don't take but one.
That's right. That's what I thought. I think the one that he brought is certainly worth the trip and going to get the guy plenty of gas money to get back home. That's
we
for sure.
Went there to Gustine, to Allen's, and looked through the stock, and he wasn't sure what they wanted to do. And in my back of my mind, I'm just thinking 116. And we're talking a little bit, small talking, and I was 116 just running through my head. And he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, man, we got to have 116 or we don't need any of them. Not that the other ones weren't good. They're very, very good, exceptionally good. But this thing, I couldn't get him out of my mind. And when he agreed to bring him, I was just like, yes. And he said, I think I only want to bring one. And I said, well, it only takes one if they look like that. This is probably the most radical, top-sided one we're going to sell tonight. Alan did, as a note, Alan did produce, so the 2021 Fever makes the weather that Klingers by the winningest weather in history. I think he won a banner twice at Kansas City.
He did.
He won 2 banners at Kansas City in consecutive years and won everything in the middle there. But that one did not look like this one.
No, this is sired by Allen's buck Good Eye, and that thing has made him good. And really we need to talk about the doe on the bottom, that 952. That doe has been as good a producer as he's had. She's made 3 stud bucks there. Rico, Milo, Finders, Keepers, all of those have made their mark and done well here industry-wide. It's Alan's opinion this is the best kid that she's made, and that's why he's sitting here intact. And as you look at him, width, muscularity, shape, rib cage, proportion from the side, That one's got lots of bells and whistles. Not the most elevated or the wildest neck, but probably the densest backed one and the shapeliest one, or certainly one of those 2 or 3 that we've looked at here as they've come across the block. Something extremely unique he's done. He's left that one intact. He offers the double down option if you want to buy your new stud buck here tonight. What he considers one of the best ones he's ever produced. He brings him here to the Fever. Thank you to Allen and Morgan Livestock there for bringing one of this caliber, quality, and genetic lineup to the Fever. Offers him with a double down option if you want to leave him intact. Great stock there, number 3116 from Morgan Livestock.
Excellent offering here from Alan Morgan. Next up is going to be the Hoffman Brothers. I think if you were in the crowd last year, they did some unique things to offer them up last year, and it certainly worked out for them. They brought another trio here. Not sure that they're going to offer them the same way as they did, but I think some of them that are ones to definitely be looked at, I think are going to top the sale or get as close as they want to. 3 very, very good ones from Hoffman Brothers.
Well, they bring 3003 up to the table, and I tell you, Bryce and I went out the other day and got to look at these as we went through there with Lane and crew, and Brody was planting cotton. I don't know if he's done yet, but he's been at it. Fuzzy handcuffs sired over one of the really good Dapper Dan does, and this one has a presence that is absolutely undeniable. You get this one out, you study this one in terms of elevation, in terms of cylindrical shape, touch and tone, and you just have to love him. And I hadn't said anything about those giant feet or that big fur that they're known for. That one's got a presence, an elevation, and a look up front that is undeniable here as we get him out. That is a Fuzzy Handcuffs Dapper Dan, and comes from a program here that really stamped it on everybody this last year with the goats that they produce. I can't say enough about how successful, how high quality they've been, and how they produce these.
Yeah, I had to step away there for just a minute, but, you know, I don't know what you guys said because I was taking care of something in the back, but, you know, last year we sell 3 of these things. The 3 win 5 major show banners, I think, something like that. I think Klingers are still winning out there, so we're still counting. But we choiced those things. You remember we did the pick 3, we rolled them down, pick 3 again, roll them down, pick 3 again. But, man, was really impressed with this stop. And Lane and Brody are always a pleasure to deal with. They're fun guys. They're awesome people, got awesome families, and they enjoy good, high-quality livestock with big pieces.
Absolutely, and this one's just that. Big time look, big time pieces, big time stock here. That's 3003 Fuzzy Dapper Dan that they're bringing here to the podium first. This looks like 5 if I can tell by the fur. Is that right, Lane? 3005.
Cindy Fuzzy here, Cinderella Man on a Fuzzy Handcuffs. Man, you're doubled up on the stoutness, you're doubled up on the fuzz, you're doubled up on the hip shape, the pin set, the muscle, the cage, and I think double good here.
I tell you, this one running loose is just dynamic as they come. Incredible width and cage, crazy hair and bone. Extremely flexible, and not just at his knee and his hock and his pastern, but in his spine as well. Just an awesome creature in terms of look and stoutness, and when you get right up on top of, you like his shape, you like his touch. That thing progresses right out the back of his blade in terms of width to his hip and pin set. Love how this one balances in proportions. Love his flexibility, his look. There is high quality stock here on the stage in front of you right now. That one is destined to make his mark somewhere as well. Just as good as you can put together in terms of fur, bone work, structural integrity. That's going to be 3005 Cinderella Man, Fuzzy Handcuffs on the bottom side. Great pedigree, great stock. $3008 to paint weather if you went out and got to make a little farm visit, look at their new barn, which is fantastic, by the way. Another fuzzy handcuff sired one here. Ice X-rated on the bottom side, so a doe that they purchased from the Pfeiffer crew there in Oklahoma. This one I was really impressed with when I saw him. He is a little thinner, and I think it sure works to his advantage to stand on the gas with this guy. He is extra shapely, really groovy out of his blade, has a tremendous edge in his loin and a big pin set. You get on the side of this one, he is shallow up front. He's good in his underline. He's elevated as he goes. Really like that one. Just as he moved around a pin, I thought, boy, that one is dynamic. That one is shapely, and he may not be as chubby as the pair in front, but that one is high quality, got the right look, be ready to roll when it's time to roll. Think you can give that one all the gas that you want to in terms of your feed program, and he's just going to continue to get better and better. That is 3008 from Hoffman Brothers, fuzzy handcuffs on a Pfeiffer doe.
Yeah, there ain't many fuzzies around anymore because the semen's no good. But, man, probably a contemporary group. That's good, Brody. Probably a contemporary group that for no more of them than was born in that 1 year won as much as they have out of any sire ever.
And those are set up
and
to
take
keep doing it.
advantage, you know, because that's what they look like when they won.
And those are certainly set up to continue that legacy here. Next up, we've got Pfeiffer Farms, come from Orlando, Oklahoma. I think they've sold as many or more winners in this sale as anybody in the South or all over for that matter. And looks like they brought quite a number of them and going to be exciting to see what they can get done.
263. Okay, this is the HT. Okay, so must-have deal. When we brought this one, you know, I went on the trip and looked through those things, and you know, the Hidden Treasures won a lot last year, maybe Sire of the Year. I don't know, close to it if he wasn't. But this is what a lot of those things look like in the show ring in terms of cage, back shape, hip shape, you know, density of body. And, man, I really, really like this one in 0263 from Pfeiffer Farms.
This was the hidden buck kid that they were going to keep and use in-house. This was the one that they made that we were also enamored with. The bottom size is a Juice 81 Holscher. That they have E171, which is one of their best producers. Right, Sire's Hidden Treasure goes without saying. He has dominated a lot of winning here in the last year in his first year of being a stud buck. They cut this one a couple of weeks ago, and he still looks like this. His presence is silly. His top line is really good. That thing is extra shapely and crisp. He's not too overdone in terms of fat and condition. You just have to like that one. Extremely square as he moves both ends of his skeleton. That one had the big fur. He started to shuck just a bit. That one had the big fur. Just an awesome one here to lead off their preview with. That is their 0263 Hidden Treasure Juice.
We talked about some of those that are extraordinary in their handle, Glenn, and that's one of them. That'll be one of the best handling ones that we sell here tonight. Is this 0338? Hold on, we got a big list up here. Red Velvet, perfect timing voodoo here.
Okay.
Damn Grand Doe at OYE 22.
Okay, Red Velvet's the red buck that Pfeiffer Farms bought last year from Hoffman Livestock, Caden Jamie Hoffman. He is making some good ones there at both firms. Mom is a perfect timing. That's the buck that they bought from us out of the old original Alien Doe, and if you follow the pedigree, that's about as good as it gets there. This one's mom won the Doe show at OYE in 22. She was very dominant in her presence there. Boy, this thing has purple in the pedigree, and you get on the side and you look at him here, you have to love that one in terms of elevation and look and cage. Extremely shallow up through his chest floor, one that's good in terms of his bottom line and flank. That one is extremely crisp in his handle, big in his edge, big in his pin set. Not a big goat just in terms of overall size and weight, but really dynamic in terms of his look. One that should be pretty feedable. To me, as I look through those velvets, lots of them, they look to me like the kind that you can go hard at. I think they're going to spread. They're going to get chubby. Don't know how big they land at the end, but that is high quality stock there. That one is number 0338, Red Velvet, perfect timing.
292. He was that good shag. Yep.
This is shag.
Okay. I know that because I had him wrote down from the deal. He was a shag. I remembered him. Okay. 0292 shag juice 81. So you're doubling up the holster on that deal. So you're doubling the muscle. And man, that shag stamped him. They named him Shag, and that should be a curse. You know, when you name one like that, he'd throw slick-legged ones if I did it.
Boy, that one
But he
throws the
didn't.
woolly
I'm
ones,
telling
I'll tell you right now. Boy, this has been a very popular and with the folks that have stopped by the farm. The 0292 shag there at Pfeiffer Farms in Orlando, Oklahoma. That one has been extremely popular with the folks that have gone through. One of my faves there in the set. Another one that's incredible in terms of cage and bubbly muscle and shape. Still elevated, very square in terms of his build. Incredible in terms of his rack shape, loin edge, and pin set. Just high quality stock here. Lined up in terms of that holster game. Skin touch is just awesome when you get right on top of this one and put your hands on him. We love his look. We love his cage. We love his shape. High quality there. Big fur. That one's going to be fun to have down the road. Need to consider that one if you're considering trying to win something.
You know, if you've got these, I'm going to tell you, if you're online, one of the hundreds of people online watching, if you're in the crowd here watching, have interest in these, as we get in, you know, we blow the steam off with a little short round of these things, and then we kind of get in and start counting them off. So the round one, I call it, which will be the first trio that Kelsey brings out, okay? We're going to choice those things. So that one will be in that choice group. I haven't finalized my sale order just yet, but the first trio that we bring out of Pfeiffer's, which will be in round one, shortly following there, the short round, I call it, we will choice that trio. So kind of pay attention to your tag numbers as you're watching online. Everything on CCI will reference a lot number and a ear tag number. So just have your notes, and then you go back through the sale order and reference the ear tag numbers that you're interested in.
All right, this lot is 0244, another Hidden Treasure sired Weather, one that's a little smaller, extremely high quality as well. I love this one running around the pen there at the house as we looked at him. I told him this thing is just so elevated, so crisp in his touch. Good gosh, look at that deal. Boy, Vols got him a big dose of that Bahama Bucks over there. Didn't bring one for us either. Hidden Treasure, Ice, Tree Shaker, great female on the bottom side, EO55, a big-time producer for him. This is a full mate to the $40,000 Weather that sells here last year. And frankly, I'm just going to tell you that one short of a little staff and skin issue he got early on in his show career. That one looked like he could win on the biggest stage all the way through. Here is a full mate to that one, and one that I think is a little more elevated, one that's a little more impressive just as you turn him loose and let him run around. Extremely round-necked, crisp in his shape, big in his edge, big in his pin set. 0244 Hidden Treasure here from Pfeiffer Farms.
Yeah.
0512, if I recall, is that right? 0512, another Hidden Treasure. One of my personal favorite does on the place. She is a slider. Snoop Dogg, you heard me talk about Slider earlier. That's also Juice's mother. And that the dam to this one happens to be a full sib to Juice. This one is a little thinner, a little greener, if you will. He came out of the pen that was furthest in the back, if you happen to go by and look, and this thing has done nothing but explode in terms of width, in terms of his cage and his shape. This thing is green and good, elevated, sound, functional, awesome look from the side. Love the profile in this guy. Love his top and his length of hip, his squareness of pin set. Really good underline. Once again, big fur. Hidden treasure, proven pedigree here. Hidden treasure over Juice's sister. Not much more you can say. Get in where you fit in. Oh man, here comes the Iconic. Where's our paperwork? Right there.
This one will have some friends.
0308 Iconic Snoop Dogg. This is the Iconic weather that they make out of Cooper and PBG's Iconic buck. This one has lots of friends, lots of fans, and well, he should. Extra wide, extra sound, awesome cage, big muscles, showing in look, showing in presence, showing in shape. He's got the bells and whistles here. Big fur, big shag, big feet, all the good things you like. John and I've talked about this one on numerous occasions, how high quality he is. Frankly, the family really considered keeping the seeds in this one, but felt like he had the type of look, presence, and build to win a big show. I think he does. He's standing here in front of you. Get in tonight and buy you a spot here at the big stage. 0308 Iconic, back over a Snoop Dogg female.
I'm taking my notes here, and I text Kels, but I'd say that will be a part of that round one trio choice, as well as this paint coming on the stage here. So I would think the shag, the Iconic, and this paint will probably be our round one trio choice, if you're taking notes there.
All right, this is 0378.
Hey, you know me well enough to know I like this one.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at that deal.
Oh, yeah. This one is big time look here. Big time fur, shag, and feet. Big feature, round neck, skinny round neck. Big old cage in him, runs uphill. Great underline, big muscles, and got the flash and the color. The paint on this one doesn't hurt him where it crosses his hip line. He's long-hipped and flat-hipped and bulgy everywhere, and still a rock star in terms of his look. Ladies' man X-rated. He's number 0378. I think he's going to stay a little more moderate. We've had quite a few of those with high-end success. His cannon bone and his skull and jaw read to be a little more moderate. You want to be in one of those middle divisions at one of these big shows. Get your kid in that limousine or get him on the front line there at a major in Texas. That one that you have to consider purchasing this evening.
You know, we've had some neat livestock on the stage today, and some of the ones that have resonated, you know, a couple of them sheep. And you know, when Catherine got off to the side of that Dorper of theirs and just stood there with him, and now I'm looking here at this camera here and looking at the back of this computer screen and what this paint weather looks like on the computer screen, and man, it's just mind-blowing, the proportionality and the quality look that thing gives from the side.
Well, he's awful good. He's for sale tonight, 0378, ladies man, X-rated. Another really good one that Pfeiffer Farms brings to us. Oh, 0360, another ladies man here. One that is quintessential ladies man, frankly, in terms of density of body, density of shape, and muscularity. This one will have a ton of fans when you get right over the top of him. He is undeniably as stout and dense as they put together. Big backed, big rack, big loin, deep loin, smooth loin, big old hip and pin set, flexible, sound, square. This one's going to weigh a little, but don't think he gets too big. Management game in terms of exercise, and that one gets you right there in the front of the game. That's number 0360, ladies man, X-rated. Proven pedigree for this firm, proven pedigree for winning show stock. The last paint that looked very similar, and this one would be Full Brothers. This is 0360. I will tell you, this is for all the winners Kelsey's had out of this sale. This is the deepest set, the best set, undeniably the best set, top to bottom. There is not a weak link in the pile in terms of quality, in terms of the group that he brought. They get to bring a pile of them, and the reason they bring a pile is because they're all good. I wish we could raise as many good ones as this firm does. They bring, is that red leg? What is that, the 0407? What is he? 0407. That's red leg, as I call him. A little bigger deal for a ladies' man here. He's on a Caesar. That's a buck they purchased from us several years ago. Makes outstanding females. And certainly they put them in the bottom side of these pedigrees. This one's got the added shot in terms of elevation, in terms of cannon bone, in terms of length of spine. You get a bigger package here, and still dense. Considered keeping the seeds in this one. We wanted to see just a nickel more fur. At that day and age, he had already shucked a bit, and we just couldn't make that decision. He has been a favorite of a lot of folks that have gone by. Stunning in terms of his look and build. Really cool in terms of his red leg and cape on this side. That's going to be 0407 Ladies Man Caesar from Pfeiffer Farms.
You know, this may sound a little far-fetched for some of you in the room, just talking about philosophy of livestock. Y'all can go ahead and get that thing off. But Kelsey and I talked about this the other day, and as we get, more competent, more modern, more multi-species livestock judges judging these shows, two things are going to reign true. They're going to have to be better caged, and they're going to have to be sounder. And they have to be sound from this firm because those does travel I don't know how many miles a day. But Kelsey and I were talking about bucks and usage of what to use the other day, and some swing for the fencers, and we talked about structure, and he goes, man, I'm going to tell you, that buck right there don't work at my house because my does have to travel too far, and it just won't work. And that's one thing that I think's so great about the evolution of the stock show industry, particularly in the goat ring. And I talked a little bit about this in my Under the Influence interview in Purple Circle, about the evolution of these goats. And as we get more competent judges, they're going to have to be truer in their body cavity and better in their feet and legs, because the other three big species of livestock have to be that way as well.
That's a fact, all true. We come up with 0290, another shag-sired wether, the biggest muscled one that they bring, and well, he should be. His mom's a ragweed voodoo. She is incredible in terms of skin and touch and shape. This one is more moderate as well, extremely bunchy in terms of his muscle, and still one that gets out and goes excessively well. Don't know where the end point is. Don't think it's going to be a great big one. I think you take this one slow and let him mature to his skeleton and his muscle and get proportional. I think this one is awful good. He's incredible in terms of his cage, his muscle shape, his body. This dam actually raised one of their keeper buck kids out of their November set. They're pretty proud of him. Big muscles, great rib cage in this one. That's another shag over Ragweed Voodoo 0290.
Well, that wraps up Pfeiffer's, and as Kenna comes up here with the first offering from Cali Livestock, this is 3116, and I think there's 3 of those 116 tag numbers, and they're all special, being Alan Morgan's was one of them, with the last 3 being 116, and then this thing here, and a tour highlight for me, Trent and Emma Kempker and Grady, obviously, great friends of ours, business partners in the buck stud business. They're just super important to my kids' show ring success through Trent's coaching. As you know, Glenn, sometimes Dad's coaching ain't near as good as help.
Oh, that's a fact. A lot of times you need somebody else.
this was a tour highlight for me. We talked about the Cinderella Man wethers we've seen already this afternoon in our preview. We talked about those Cindy's that sold in February and March and what they averaged. This is a full sib to Cinderella Man. Keep the faith, son. Offered intact against my pissed off recommendations to do so because I want him shown, but he is offered intact, a full sib to Cindy with all the bells and whistles from Kempker Livestock.
Keep the faith on the top over the great 0028 female that's there. She's put 2 stud bucks into the KM sires already. This is a full sib to Cindy, Cinderella Man. And what can you say about feet and legs and stoutness and fur, body density, cage, cylindrical shape? This one's got the bells and whistles here. You have to love the presence, you have to love the density, and you have to love the fact that this one is so shaped up. Just looks magical from the side. Moderate in terms of his size, perfect in terms of his maturity pattern for his age. That one has lots of bells and whistles here, and I guess offered with double down. What's the terms on that?
Double for half on this.
This one is a little different. These guys are pretty. Trent and Emma are pretty certain they like this one. He's going to be a double for half. If you leave him intact, he's going to be double for half, not double for all. And or you can buy him outright
and go win
cut
something.
as a weather and go win something. Awful good one there.
You'll have
Love
to
the
beat my kid off
proportion.
of that one. I'm going to promise you here in a minute.
That mock might be a little deep on that one. He does get into that one and loves the pedigree, loves the goat. Pedigree or not? All right, 3097, the second one that Kempker Livestock puts on the stage, and another one that comes up here, and one that's more elevated than the last, longer neck than the last, more elevated just in terms of his extension and framework, and still really high quality. He is a tag me in over 1061. That's a blow your mind back on a great Porches doe that they have there. Mother was reserve doe at the National Western last year, 5th overall at Louisville in 21. She's also damned 2 of their high sellers that they've had this spring. This one looks to be pretty promising to me as a show whether you get on the side of that one. If you don't like the look there, you might need to show something else. That one is built for speed. That one's got the right kind of cage. That one's got the right kind of body length and proportion. Looks to be extremely dense in terms of his shape, good in terms of his skin as well.
So blow your mind there, talking pedigree. That's a wish on like Pandemonium's mother, the number 2 doe.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of good stuff going on. When Trent and Emma bought their place there, they bought their house, and it didn't have porches on it. They still needed to add those to their place. And Emma had her little stash of money sitting there, and she went to Macon's one day on one of their trips south and buys a doe and spends her Porches money. So that's how this
why
one
she's
gets her.
named
That's her
Porches.
name, Porches.
Yeah, well, she's going to make them some porches, I'll guarantee you that. That's a good one right there.
Yeah, that may be one of the more elevated, just arrogant-looking ones that we've seen come across the block today. That one has certainly a captivating presence when you get into him.
Is that one 90? No, that one is 109. Wider headed one here, unique looking flushmate brother to the last one, so 3109. Again, tag me in, blow your mind. Porches out of an extremely successful doe. Won a bunch for him there, National Western to Louisville. Put 2 buck kids in the buck stud there for KM. Good one here, folks. Bigger. To me, could go early. Could go a long time. He's stout jowled. He's stout skulled. He's got the right kind of length of head and maturity. I think you could shape him up and show him early. I think you could slow him down and show him later. Great look, great silhouette, good running gear, big fur, one that proportions and balances extremely well. has lots of punch, a bunchy muscles. That's another good one that they bring, a full mate to the last one that we have on the stand here. This is 3109. Tag me in.
Last one that's coming up here for Kempker. I just remind those that are out there on the internet watching, it's never too early to log on to cci.live, get registered, and get prepared for this evening. Thanks to Kennedy Ventures and CCI Live for offering that type of bidding opportunity for everybody out there. I'd encourage you to go ahead and get that done as early as possible.
Well, 3092, extremely dense, long-hipped one, sired by Blow Your Mind. Mom is 2031. That's a Keep the Faith, she said. Great doe that they have there. This one is really the kind that probably Trent likes to feed himself as they go forward. That one's got a little more moderation of outline and still runs right uphill. Really shallow in his chest, cylindrical in his cage, extremely long in his hip, has the right posture and set in terms of his knee and his front pastern, hock and rear pastern as well. That one is bunchy muscled, round bodied, good looking, flat level, and has the quality to go the distance here. One that they really feel strongly about pedigree. They feel extremely strongly and confident in his type and kind to go on feed and be competitive. That's 3092. Great set, Emma and Trent, that y'all brought here, no doubt.
Absolutely. That winds up there with Kempker Livestock. And next up is Jamie and Blue Team Wethers. He just brought a pair of them, but I think if you study here, this may be one of the better pairs that'll come through. I think a firm that has as much of a winning record in the last several years and a long track record of winning, and I don't think it's going to wane off with this pair of them.
Okay, so talking about Blue Team and that firm and the amount of winners, the amount of dominance in the show ring, coast to coast. Very fortunate to have them as a consignor with us here for a couple of years. They sold with us the Midwest Fever. They've sold with us at the Fiesta Symposium. And man, just an awesome consignor. And got to go through this set of goats and send Jamie a few tag numbers that hey, man, if you're willing, we'd like to sell a couple of these things. And they've played right along. They've been going to good homes and been getting along. They sold the Grand at San Angelo here last year. Sold one of my favorite wethers that showed up last year. It ended up being second at Fort Worth. Was their pair of them they sold here last year. This is one of the ones that I had the highest marked on the tour. This is an I Am Legend Winterhawk, back on the reserve champion doe at Georgia Nationals, and one that I just thought from muscularity, skeletal density, bell bottoms, and got that cool Hawaiian shirt showing him up there. I think really, really a good one here.
Well, if we just talk about wow factor and talk about just first impression, that one gives it to you. Balance and proportion are impeccable. Fur and density and quality of skeleton is just off the chart. And that thing does have the big back, the big loin, big upper hip and pin set. That one is high end stock, wild looking, moderate in his size. Got the right kind of maturity pattern to go on and feed for you. That one's just one of the more high quality ones I think we've had up here today. Extremely good. As they like to say, no holes, checks all the boxes. Let's just say wow factor along with that. That one's got the bells and whistles. That one's got all the good parts and pieces. He looks stellar here on that screen, and he looks that way in person. I'm going to repeat that number. It's 2198B.
Yes, sir.
2198B. That's the I Am Legend Blackhead from Blue Team Wethers.
Man, I had some pretty high regards by this one, and I've seen several of those Hoss Wethers again. And this one's mama is a P67 Soldier Boy. She would be a flush mate to Hayden's Grand at Angelo and San Antonio there. So you got champions on both sides of the blood on this thing. I really, really liked this one on the tour. He was one of the more aggressive handling goats that we had of the whole offering, I thought. He's got an awesome cage, great skin, looks really good propped up there.
Well, he is extremely radical in his shape. He's extremely good in his skin. I walked by him wet on the stand a while ago, and that thing's back just pops right out the top, and he's spread so big. He's so progressive in shape, awesome in terms of cage. One that comes to us in a little bigger package, really elevated, long neck, long spine, long hipped, and still puts everything together. And you get right on top of him. That thing's monster muscled, and he looks extra cool from the side. Those are combinations that get you to the winner's circle. I think this Hall-sired one here, 2-1-4-1, is just an awful good one, extremely impressive. I like his color pattern. I don't know if anybody would want to talk about that, but the way that red comes over the top of his blade and then straight up halfway in terms of his neck, I can tell you that is extremely impressive, and that's going to look exceptionally cool when you get that one out on the chain and make him go around the ring. I think there's lots and lots of good in that guy right there.
You would sure think that, you know, talking about endpoints in these things, because, you know, where champions sell, all that has to work out right in the end. But I think endpoint on that one, you got to be thinking San Angelo or Houston, and he's right there in the mix of them. If he don't win, he's close enough to see who does.
I think you're right. I think that is the kind that fits the judges that we have in those scenarios for sure. Maturity pattern fits as well.
Yeah. Hoffman Livestock is up next. One of the last consigners that we'll preview brings us, it looks like 4 of them, and I think somebody that has continuously from the beginning brought winners, and that has materialized in the banners that you see hanging around year after year. Hoffman Livestock has certainly continued that trajectory, doesn't let us down here.
Well, Cade and Jamie bring us one here. Can't forget Hazen and Humble. If you've been out there, you're going to get to see the kids and interact with them for sure, one way or another there with Humble. 31, ask Cade, 31-33. Poke the Bear sired when I went, or Bryce and I actually went back when. This guy was running around outside in a big pen with a couple hundred does, and this thing had the spot on his neck. He was gigantic furred, killer in terms of his cage and body, extremely shapely. He shucked the fur since then, I can tell you, but he's coming back with it. It's growing the wings on the back of his legs, and that one is as cagey and shapely, I think, as any that Cade and Jamie have offered here at the Fever.
Talk about proportionalities from every angle, cage, and just the way those things balance up, and the density from their skull to their blade to the center part of their body, through the back of their hip, reading them true. I mean, this one was one of the ones we had pretty high on the list on the tour there.
Now,
so.
I thought those bears might be a little big or excessive in terms of their growth curve or their maturity, because he was so elevated, and yet here we have one that's just designed to be so feedable, to be moderate sized and so dense and good heighted. I think that one is just an elite one that he brings here. We get 3-1 on the stand with Costin here next, and boy, that one does look good from here.
Yeah, so one of my favorite wethers that sold last year, and he ended up had a little issue there right before OYE got sick, was Glover's last year that sold here. I thought that was one of the craziest ones, and he got sick there and didn't make the trip, unfortunately. But this would be a full sib to that one, and one of them that I had really highly marked on the trip. Again, with the head, cleanest of neck, but still circumference, carries that into a huge cage, comes back into big square hip. Really like this one.
Well, he casts the right look, the right three-quarter view to us, and the right look on the profile. His lines are extremely good. His build is awesome. His natural width and progression of width is great as well. I love the pedigree. Poke the Bear, fuzzy handcuffs, Holscher. There we go with proven stock, and this Poke the Bear on top has made a pile of good ones come through here today for Cade and for Judd. Really excited to see this one fed. I think he gets the right spot and the right home. That one's a contender in whatever division he lands. I think it's 253. 32.53. The yellow paint as we called him and wrote in our notes. Harlem Handshake over Red Velvet Sister, talked about the Velvets and how they've really been sharp looking, ditch backed and creasy, really good edge in those, and certainly an exotic look up front. Here we have a Harlem over Red Sister. Another really good one of our highlights, wethers that Bryce and I looked at on our little swing back out west. This one is wild looking. This one is really big legged. He's got the fur. He's got the right kind of shape up high. Outstanding look, outstanding pedigree, great build. One that from a progression of width and profile standpoint, we've just got a lot of quality here. In a very unique colored package, one that I think should feed very well. That was 3253 from Hoffman Livestock.
This one, this family, this is Lippy. This thing had sore mouth so bad when I was out there last week, and it's healed. It looked, Kate and I talked about it, and it looked like it was on the mend. It was dry, but it was a lot of it. And, it didn't really phase him much. It doesn't look like to me. This thing is stout and dense, and what rung a chord to me when I was looking at this set, and particularly this goat. Jamie comes from a strong cattle background, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about good cattle, good sheep, good show pigs, or good show goats. That one has a really high quality build and cage and structure to him, and he does look like one of them good Bloomberg calves from the side, I thought, but really dense and stout. This is Lippy.
All right, this is Poke the Bear, fuzzy handcuffs, Holscher, 31-32. Same mama as our high seller here last year. Same crazy foot size fur feature that you'd like to see in one with the Hoffman Livestock quintessential build in terms of width and flexibility. This one's got a great cage in him. I really like this one out at the house and get right over the top of him. He spans big. He's true. He's had a hell of a hard life, and yet he's gotten to this point and looks like he's going to continue to get on the road and really be one of those that can contend. I read him to be a little bigger. To me, I think that one's got enough mass and has enough cannon bone that you think that one's going to be one of those really good heavies. We've had a lot of luck with those, feeding those over the years. Just love the build, love the proportion, and think that one's got the parts and pieces. Certainly has the pedigree to be big time when it's time to be big time there at the end. Good stock there from Hoffman Livestock. Thank you, Kate and Jamie, for bringing us that set.
That rounds out Hoffman Livestock, and Stork is going to end our preview here and lead off our sale this evening. He's bringing us 6 of them, and I don't think across the country, but especially in the great state of Texas, Macon and his family and what they've done for so many other youth livestock families has been nothing short of incredible. And I think if you just study up what's about to go across the block, I don't think he has wavered one bit from that kind of dedication.
Yeah, it's a battle in a bad way. Not that anybody wants to sell first. Everybody wants to sell second, third, down the line. Nobody wants to sell first, but inevitably somebody has to. So we just went back to more banners in more places, in more years at the Fever, and that's making. It's like the singular bars in more places. Well, we got more banners in more places from the Fever year after year, making sales first. Here you goes, lot 3077, Proven Genetics, tag Wish, she said. Not a whole bunch needs to be said. Got the making look from the side.
Oh, just as wild looking and caged as we've seen. Elevated, shallow, cylindrical. Has the show winning looking presence there. Love this one's chest floor. Love his elevation and his natural width at both ends of his skeleton. He does have a thoroughbred neck. He's got the great big upper hip and pin set. Really shapely, really good feeding stock here, in my opinion. One that I think can go a number of ways, a number of a number of judges and feel like you're giving your exhibitor the chance to win big and win big on the biggest stage. I dig that one. 3077 Stork Livestock tag team, wish in one hand, she said.
What's this tag?
3020 3020 from Stork Livestock. Big time featuring fur on this Carry the Boats birthday suit whistle. This is a full sib to the one he hauls to Midwest Fever. Brings 35,000 at the Midwest Fever. Also sells a mate for 35,000 for half at the exclusive there at Pfeiffer's Farm a couple of months ago. This one looks big time to me, guys. He has got the big time look. He's elevated. He's long necked. He's proportional. That thing is ditchy and shapely from the 3/4, bubbly in terms of his muscle, good in terms of his build, and awesome in terms of his look.
You know, every pedigree and every success story has a foundation piece in it. And I truly believe that on the ones that win, they've all got a good mama behind them, or they've got a good female back in there behind them. And it's not just dumb luck that one surfaces. The key to this one is this doe here, Glenn, the Grand Dam, the whistle doe. That would be Beaner's champion D1 at Denver the year I judged Denver, and then I think she wins D2 or 3 at OYE that year. But that one has been a producer. Her offspring have worked, and there's some stuff behind this one that works.
Well, you put the good genetics in the game, you put the good pedigree together, and you make winning stock that look like this. And this one's got the chance, as good a chance as any, I'd say, to come out of here and gather banners, big banners, division banners, 3020, Carry the Boats, Stork Livestock. I love that one at the house. Big time. 65.
65, Cody.
3065.
Another boat's out of the mother of the reserve D2 at OYE.
Carry the Boats really worked on this female. Unique color pattern here with the saddleback. One for me that I liked over at the house, just in terms of width and cage and shape. That one is powered up. That one is wide. That one has a really good hip and back leg in him. Looks like to me a D2 type goat in terms of size. Get in where you fit in terms of how you feed, but that one's got the right kind of presence, cage, and build to go the distance wherever it is you want to land. I think that one just finds lots of people that like him when you get down the road toward the end of the game. The way that he's built, the way that he's colored, you're never going to get lost in a crowd with one that stands out like that, with that kind of feature, that kind of cage, and that kind of mass. 3065, the Painted Weather, Carry the Boats, tag team, she said. Mom raised a reserve D2 at OYE.
3046 here, and we've got a note. So this is the Make It Count. Make It Count would be Carry the Boats' sire.
That's right.
And is the sire of Kenna's Reserve Grand at Kansas City last year. This one's mom was a tag on Wish in one hand sister. What we forgot to add here that I just wrote in, this one sells with an intact 2 times the money option.
Well, I tell you, just as Cody gets that one propped right there, that one is special. That's all you can really say about that. That is a special look if you're online and looking, or if you're here in person. That's a special look in terms of balance and proportion, in terms of how that one is designed and built. You know, Macon had this one slated to be his keeper buck out of this set. 3046 is the genetic package and piece that he thinks could move anybody forward, because that's why he left him intact. You get a unique option here. You've got this Make It Count tag team, and that's over Wish in one hand sister. And Kevin talked about having the quality on the female side. You know, one of Macon's most successful sires, Wish. This has got the sister in the bottom side of this one's dam's pedigree. Just an outstanding individual. big-footed, big cage, big muscled, proportional. You get the double down 2 times option if you want to leave him intact, and making available the opportunity to upgrade your game. Outstanding weather if you put the band on this one. Just a great individual here that Macon brings once again. You got to appreciate the quality he always brings here to the Fever. That was 3046.
Yeah, only a few more left in the preview here as we wind down. I just one more time remind you that the bidding will be available online at cci.live thanks to our friends at Kennedy Ventures. I encourage you to get registered early so that you make sure you don't miss it. We're going to try and kick off as close to 7:07-ish as we possibly can, so definitely need to be registered by then.
Okay, we have 3037. Make It Count Tag Team Mini Heat. Great doe on the bottom side. Make It Count Boats Daddies on the top side. Austin just said, as he set his mic down, big muscles, and that is what you have here. You got one that's uniquely shallow up front, great in terms of his underline, and just as packed full of meat as any maybe we've seen up so far here in our preview today. Once again, talk about mom. Same mom. That's the same mother as Fugazi, as Buck from last year, and also Burn the Boat's mother. So another outstanding one. I'm going to call him moderate size. I'm going to call him a big 1 or 2, depending on when you show and where you show. I'm going to call him a big 1 or 2 winner as well. That one's got parts and pieces to take you a banner home. Macon wants banners out of this sale, and he wants success for the families that feed, and it's proven by how he's done this for years. 3037, Make It Count from Stork Livestock. Last but not least, 3034, Carry the Boats, Birthday Suit Whistle. Another full mate to the really popular $35,000 seller he had at Midwest Fever. Full mate to the half-interest buck kid for $35K. He sold at the exclusive there in Orlando at Pfeiffer Farms a couple of months ago. Awful good one here just in terms of look and balance. His presence is exceptional. He's extremely square, like this one walking around. One that comes to us in a unique looking package. He's square up top. He's got him a groove. He's good in his edge. That one's got a really good pin set. I like that one quite a bit just in terms of how he's assembled and organized. He is a little thinner than some of the others, and I tell you, I think it works to your advantage from a feedability standpoint to have one like this in the remuda if you're going to try to be competitive on the big stage. That's an awesome goat, 3034. This ends up our preview with Stork Livestock, Carry the Boats, Birthday Suit Whistle.
Yeah, that'll be the end of our preview. Obviously, the biggest fever that we've had thus far, and I think that's a testament to Kevin's hard work and his family's hard work, what Zach has been able to do on the sheep side. And I encourage you, there's a few things that fever is synonymous for. Not only is it that high-quality livestock, but a high-quality environment and sale. And I encourage you to get out here and see these. Okay, and see these in person. If you can't, I'll let you know that this is going to be available to rewatch here in about 10 or 15 minutes. Blake's going to get to work and get that ready to rock and roll. So study hard and pick the ones that you like. Again, cci.live, get registered. We'll kick the sale off just after 7 o'clock.